soon as you start.
Oh. Is the mic on? Is the mic on? Is it working? I need our producers, our helpers' names. Sorry, folks. Been using my wife's wrinkle cream, or not cream, some kind of wash in the shower to try to look younger because I'm so tired. Going from Thursday to Monday, I had about 10 hours of sleep altogether. What's up? Okay, I'm already started. I'm already on the air. I'm already on the air. I'm talking to you on the phone. It's my wife, guys. I love you, honey. Okay, bye. So we got a lot to talk about, folks. Believe it or not, we got some things we got to get down to business here. Just waiting for the chat room to get filled up here. Got a lot of stuff we got to talk about. Let me get my notes together here. How's everybody's Tuesday so far, huh? I got some very interesting news to talk to you guys about. So if you guys want to hear some gossip, get all your little friends out there to come on the show, come and sit in the live stream, and we'll talk about some stuff. Got some stuff to talk about. People love to talk trash.
Some crackling on that mic again.
Is there?
Yeah.
Well, we'll change it out. Smile for the camera. You try and use this one? Oh, man.
Set up.
Get it on there. You want to see how this one sounds? If it brushes at all, though, it makes a big noise. You don't need this one then?
No.
You want to see how this one sounds? See if it's working? Folks, can you tell me how I sound? Someone's in a good mood. Talking about me. I'm trying to put on a good face. I'm trying to be as happy as I can possibly be. I'm not necessarily in a good mood. I'm just trying to do. I mean, nobody wants some sourpuss to come out here and. My esteemed colleague, also known as my nephew, he's going to get the names of the people that are Patreon. Y'all are basically helping produce the show, so we're going to give you a shout out. On another note, I found out that I'm a racist and that I'm white trash. So that was pleasant. And that my knife collection is from QVC. Did not know that.
It's a little bit different, but you just have to scroll, and that's the last one. That's the last thing. You just scroll up and down. Read it.
And by the way, what I meant was I'm not really a racist. Somebody has accused me of that, but that's not the truth. I have to make sure I say that because otherwise people will think that. Chronological. Dead Man Walking. These are people who are Patreon producers. They help produce the show by donating. Russell Nash, Guy, Desiree Taylor, Don Wells, Melissa Panay, Derek Tribble, Rudy Gutierrez, Andrea Krask, Patrick Nickerson, Shannon, Dick Richards, Joyce Burnett, Wendy Page Williams, Earl Bowers, Barbara Blindy, Martin Hertel, Terry Fuselier, Chris Clough, Lou the Good Dude, Curtis Turner, Philip Morn, Alexander Murphy, Matthew Durgo, Chris Smith, and Ralph Ayu. Thank you so much for helping to produce the show. Also, I want to give out my email address, which is Josh Turner at prtpodcast.com. Josh Turner at prtpodcast.com. If you go to prtpodcast.com, folks, you can buy merchandise from the show. That also is a great way to help support the show. So what I want to start off with here, I want to give birthday shout outs to some people that are listeners of the show. Paul McLean, it's birthday today. Happy birthday to you. Emilio Humans, happy birthday to you. Aiden Collier, happy birthday to you. Felix Garnett, happy birthday. Thank you for being listeners and supporters of the show. Today's your birthday, and I hope you had a good birthday. I hope you continue to have a good birthday. Don't get too smash drunk, or don't drink at all. Because you remember Sal, my co-host, once said that, you get drunk, you just go crazy, you start beating each other up, stabbing people. It's insane. It's crazy, man. We had a big old discussion on it on the air about how irresponsible everybody is when they get drunk and how they go on a stabbing spree. I don't know if anybody is a longtime listener of the show, if they remember that episode, or I kind of called them out on that, and I was like, I don't really believe that, but, it's your perception of the world. If you want to believe it, you go ahead. So, I've never gotten drunk and taken swords off the walls and sliced people's arms off, but I mean, what is that guy on his shirt? That's Destro, dude. Destro from Cobra. Cobra. He was technically a mercenary. He worked for Cobra, but he never really wore the Cobra symbol because he was a merc, but he fought for the bad guys. And then him and Major Blood were both mercs. And then ultimately he broke away and started his own, the Iron Grenadiers. I know I'm nerding out with that, but I know a lot about G.I. Joe, Transformers, and He-Man. I grew up with it. So. Another thing I wanted to talk about, I'm going to give you guys the address if you want to send things through the mail. It's 6001 West Palmer Lane, Suite 370, PMB 131, Austin, Texas 78727. So if you guys could... are you in the chat room?
Yeah.
Can you put this on there?
Yeah.
So you can it can be on there. Just waiting for a few more people to show up so I can say what I got to say.
This is the P.O. box?
Yeah. And I had a talk today. I messaged back and forth today with Steve Stockton. Everybody was talking about wanting Steve to come on the show. Steve's a friend of mine, and we are going to get him on the show. We're going to have him on. My eyes are burning. The air level quality has been not good today in Austin. And I've been driving all over the city for the past 3 or 4 days. We are slammed. We have so much work, folks. It is unreal. Emilio Humans, thank you so much. Thanks for the shout out. Love the show. Eventually, I'll send you some of my stories. Always appreciate anybody who sends me their stories. That's another thing I found out, folks. I am not as good a storyteller as a particular individual. He's letting everybody know. I didn't know I was so subpar, sub-rate. Telling his listeners that I'm mad because he's a better storyteller than me. And I did try to talk to these people over the this past week, and I managed to get through to 1 or 2 of his people, but trying to squash things, you know, trying to bury the hatchet, because I don't want to fight with him. You know, I think that he, this particular person, I'm not talking about the fringe guy, I'm talking about this other guy. I was supposedly, I threatened him last episode, which I did not. I just said I'm afraid these hands would be quite operational, and I'm talking about him having told some people that he was going to handle me, which I don't know what that means. I don't know what you're going to handle me. And then every time I would go into a group, one of his little sycophants would jump on there and promote him underneath whatever I said, like they were shadowing me. So I thought that was kind of ridiculous. And yes, Zartan was another. He was the one, the leader of the. Well, he wasn't technically a dreadnought, but the dreadnoughts worked for him as paid mercenaries, and he was a mercenary. And Zartan and Destro were rivals mercenaries, and they both worked for Cobra. Yeah. Thank you for that $50 donation. Oh my gosh, giant parrot character waving flags and turning around, making the buildings in front of him tremble. Thank you. Thank you. So I did come to a realization that we needed a name for my listeners. So somebody had posted on there last time, paratroopers. I don't know. I think it sounds kind of cool. I'm just going to start calling you guys paratroopers. Welcome to the show, paratroopers. Sounds like a militia or something. But is that Ethan Seal in the group? Ethan Seal, you have a voice that is made for radio. I don't know if anybody's told you that. Man, my eyes are burning. I don't know if anybody's told you that, but your voice is very radio worthy. You need to look into that. Because you have a radio voice for sure, my friend. Okay, Sonia. You make that drive carefully. That's another one, Knights of the Round Table. That sounds good, too. I like that one. I thought Paratroopers sounded cool because it's Paranormal Round Table, but Paratroopers of the Round Table. Mm-hmm. Try to do my Ethan Seal impression when he announced the prizes that he got. Okay, guys, It's finally here. I don't know if that's about as good as I can get, Ethan. I don't know if I can do a better job. You have a very unique voice. And it's very commanding. I was impressed. You can post art on the in our website too. If you go to, Sonia said the mic is on, but it's a static. You can post art on our website too, guys. prtpodcast.com. The Chupacabra. There's another thing I need to talk to you guys about. The Chupacabra contest. I'm gonna reiterate this later on in the show. Okay. I'm gonna reiterate this to you guys. The Chupacabra art contest. I'm gonna look at the date. Today is the 23rd. Okay. Next Tuesday on the 30th. Okay. That means that I'm gonna post those next Tuesday on the 30th. I'm gonna post those up on the page, on the website, on the Paranormal Round Table. I'm sorry, I'm wrong. I'm gonna post those on Friday. I'm gonna try and post those on Friday the 26th. I'm gonna lay them all out there. So if you got a Chupacabra submission, send it to me. Okay, I need it. I need your Chupacabra. And if you have sent one in Messenger, go ahead and resend it, because I want to make sure that I go through and I don't forget anybody, because somebody told me that I had forgotten them last time and I felt bad. So, but anyway, yeah, go ahead and resend that, and I will make sure that yours gets put in, and then it gets posted to the Paranormal Roundtable group page. If you're not in the Paranormal Roundtable group page on Facebook, I suggest you join, because that's a way to win prizes every week from just posting a comment on the show that we do. We put the link on the Friday show, the main show. So that's so the 26th, I'll be putting that on there, and then you guys have until Tuesday the 30th to vote. The voting will be, and then I'll let people know who won by Tuesday. All right. So everybody, you have until the 26th to get your submissions in, and then on Tuesday the 30th. So that's what we're doing. Chupacabra. And then let's be thinking about the next monster we want to draw. Also, I'm taking submissions if anybody wants to make me as a Sith Lord or a Jedi. And if I decide to keep your artwork and maybe turn it into something, I'll throw you something. Give you something. Also, I wanted to announce. Let's see here. Dave Palucci, I want to tell you thank you for the compliment about the mug. Romy Strong, I don't know if your thing didn't come in. I don't know what's going on with that. I opened up a case for that. But a shout out to you. And folks, let people know that we do this show every Tuesday, and you can stay abreast of what's going on in the world of the Paranormal Roundtable. Thank you for all the prayers for my mother and my friend and Nellie. Nellie's still in a lot of pain, but she's getting, I think she's slowly starting to get better. My mother has since taken a turn for the worse. She had gone back in the hospital, I believe, last Wednesday or was it Tuesday?
Yeah.
Tuesday. And she couldn't breathe. And then they had to move her from that facility to another facility because she has a bleed in her brain. So her brain is bleeding. So if you guys could pray. Wanda Sinton, why do you take these haters so serious? Pay attention to those who are showing up for you. We're here. We have to listen to this Debbie Downer stuff. Let me explain something to you real quick. This is something I have to discuss this because as soon as this hit, I started getting attacked. Basically, when I'm in a group and I'm trying to promote my show, the show that we all enjoy, we all like, I'm trying to get more listeners. I need more subscribers, more Patreon people so we can promote the show. We can do more with the show and make it grow if I had more support and more income for that. So what I do is I go in different groups, and now I'm being shadowed by these people who have decided to make it their mission to just make life hard. So here's what happened, folks. I'm gonna let you know why. I'm having to deal with these people. It's like I don't really care about these people. I don't care about their lives, but I have to, let you know that they have people that are viciously, vehemently against us, and they defend them. To the point of like they think that they're helping by making stuff up, and I don't know whether it's their leader, their podcast boss, or whatever, sending them to do this. I still haven't figured that out, or if they're just doing it on their own, because they're saying, they're just doing it on their own, but they're not doing a very good job of reining them in. So that's a problem. But here's what's going on here. I have something that I needed to talk to you guys about, and I feel like I need to go ahead and say this. Brian Clough, thank you for that donation. This is from Dogman, Believable Evidence and Encounters. It's a pretty good group. I get along with the guys there. They wanted to make a group where there was just not a bunch of what they call photos that have circles on them, whatever. That's their deal. They want to do that. You can do whatever you want with your group. It's your group. But they seem like a good group of guys. But anyway, this guy, I'm not going to say his name because I don't know the guy. I have no, affiliation with him. This is the very first, if you go to Dogman, Believable Evidence and Encounters, he made some comments about Vic Cundiff. Okay? And it starts off with, what do you know about Vic Cundiff and his radio station? I listen to the stories that are spoken on YouTube. Some I feel are not that easy to accept, but more so than not, those stories aren't exaggerated. It is like with some of witnesses, and I can literally and legitimately feel their fear. And then he goes on, but then he goes on to say that he doesn't really. Now, I'm assuming that this is what Vic Cundiff is talking about. So, Amy, thank you for that donation. Thank you so much. But Vic Cundiff, and I've already been getting messages about it because people automatically just, when somebody says something, they certain members of a certain pack decided to start throwing it out there that it was me that he was talking about. And I'm pretty sure that that's what he was talking about. Because it says Vic Cundiff says there sure are some interesting people on Facebook. Of course, I allow eyewitnesses on the show who had encounters that weren't traumatic. To not do so would warp the reality of what it's like to have a Dogman encounter. Not all encounters are bad, so not all encounters are frightening. So I'm pretty sure he's talking about that guy's statement in Dogman. Let me make sure I get the actual wording of the group correct, because I don't want to say it wrong. Once again, and it's a good group, guys. You can go join that group. I'm in that group. It's a pretty good group. Dogman Werewolf Discussion is another one. Join that one. Join that group. I'm in that group. Anyway, it's called Dogman, Believable Evidence and Encounters. Rudy Aguilar, what up, Wolfman? What up to you, Rudy? Thank you for the $15 donation. Listen, here's the thing. Okay, I'm not at war with Vic or Marvin Allen. Okay, I've already made that clear. I said some things last week, and it was in response. The shots were fired at me first, and then everybody was like, Wolf's saying stuff, blah, blah, blah. He went on his thing and said he's a better storyteller than me. I don't really care, bro. I mean, let's look at numbers, you know? You throw your numbers down there, I throw mine down there, and let's see who comes out on top. I mean, that's pretty basic math. So, I'm not jealous. I don't really give a crap about any of these other people and their stories and their whatever. Dude from Texas, he's a good guy. I talked to him, David from Texas. If he's in the chat room, guys, leave him alone. Let him join the chat room. If he's been kicked out of the chat room, let him back in. He's a good guy. I had a long talk with him. He's the only one over there at the Doug Pack that has spoken to me. And we talked. He's a Texan, and you know, we kind of think that there is a third party that's kind of stirring up some stuff, because I'm getting messages from people claiming to be part of the Doug Pack. And to be real honest, I'm starting to question all of it, because I don't think it's all valid. I think that some people are I know, like Claire Ellis, some other people that have been, you know, but that was kicked out last week. And then B Dizzle, Bazizzle, whatever, one of Chris's flunkies. These people, they have come out and attacked me, whatever. It says here, Wolf sent a small PRT donation via PayPal 3 weeks ago, and it still hasn't been claimed. You know anything about that, Anthony? You can check it. We'll take care. Thank you so much. So my thing is man, the air quality is terrible today. The sky was like gray. The weather felt perfect. The sky was just gray, but it was like the sun was out. I mean, it's weird. It's like pollution or something. All these people coming from here, from the West Coast, bringing their pollution. Here's the thing. I'm in this to try to pass on the information. Vic called you, bro. What are you talking about? Do you think you could handle Vic? What do you mean? I have no idea what that means. The thing is, I'm here to do a show, okay? And that's what Marvin's trying to do. He's trying to do a show, okay? But I think there's a third party involved who's going to them and saying that we're saying things, and I think that they are coming to us and saying that they're saying things, and it's some of the same people. Because when me and dude from Texas talked, we kind of got to the bottom of that. But there is another element going on with the third party. So I know that we share listeners with these other groups, you know, like Jeff Nadolny and Chris Cyrus and Marvin Allen, and I am not a fan of their work. I've never, but I don't listen to Vic Cundip's show either. But I don't have a problem with Vic's, you know, more or less. It's like, we're cool, whatever. I did say last week that I'm not going back on his show. I stand by that. Because there's some things that I just don't like the way it's headed, the direction it's going, you know, especially as of late. And, you know, I did tell dude from Texas that I do believe that Marvin gets mixed up. Maybe not maliciously. Maybe he's not a malicious. And honestly, he probably isn't doing it on purpose. I think he just he's sidetracked, or he can't, you know, and he has messed up some people's stories. Like I said before, I don't know. I can't tell you all of which ones. I just know several people who've given me their information and said, hey, this isn't correct. This guy did this. And I've been contacted by people who've gone on Vic's show and weren't happy with supposedly the way that Vic treated, you know, I guess, I don't know, he didn't kiss their butt enough. I don't know what the heck they did. But those particular people, I was like, well, you know, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, if you're not happy telling your story on his show, you're probably not going to be happy telling it on my show. So, I mean, I can't, you know, I can't say, you know, I do think that there are some decent people in those groups and with those other people, but I think you have to look at it like this. If you go your whole life and all you eat is saltine crackers, okay? And then one day somebody throws you a Ritz. And I think Eddie Murphy actually talked about this on his comedy, you know. And you're like, whoa, what was that? You know, like, that's amazing. I want to eat that. Well, I want another one of that. That's not exactly what he said, because he uses a lot of swear words that I can't say on here. But the point is that if that's all you've ever known is that saltine cracker, you're going to think that this is good stuff until you eat a Ritz. And then you're like, whoa. But why have I been eating this saltine? I think that a lot of their listeners, that's the thing. I mean, they haven't listened to me. They haven't even listened to our show. And I read some of the comments on some of the, when they were doing the little attacks or whatever, and this one guy was like, well, I don't even follow him. I don't even listen to his show. Dude, that's your problem right there. You've never even heard my show. You've never even listened to my show. So you think that that show is the best show ever because you've never even bothered to give me the time of day. And so if you come to my show and you listen to the amount of effort and that we put into the show, you might be surprised. Okay, we don't go for a bunch of flashy graphics and all that stuff like one of these other guys does. You know, we don't do all this, you know, ridiculous stuff, you know, but I you know, we do the best we can. We give you the information with the research, and then we hit you with the stories, and we try to pick the best ones we can, and we try to, you know, put out as good a material as we can. I try to tell it as best I can. So that's the thing, man. I try to do right by the listener. So when people come out and say, "Oh, you didn't do this, you didn't do that," you know, you're not listening to me. You're not listening to my show, okay? And if you listen to my show, you will know that there are some really good stories on there. Because I get a ton of stories, a ton of messages. I get messages every day. My team can attest to the fact that I get no less than 30 a day. Messages. Not all stories, but a lot of stories. And so anyways, I just want everybody to know that you know, I'm not gonna go to war with these people anymore. I'm just, you know, I'm not gonna return fire. You just say what you want, do what you want. Some of these people are so ridiculous, they're gonna believe anything those people say. They actually think that their stories are good and that they are correct. And that's up to you. And the way that they tell them is good and correct. So be it. I can't change your mind. All I can do is bring you to the water. It's up to you to drink it. I can't make you, you know, lead a horse to water. You can't make him drink. But if you're so short-sighted that all you've ever done is just ignore my show, then you're missing out on a good product. I believe that not just because it's my product, but it's a good product. There are certain people out there that make a good product. They just make a good product. And whether it's a car manufacturer or a knife maker or, you know, someone who, you know, whatever, an artist, you know, they just have good product. And so I feel like when it comes to this subject and this, you know, information, I think we put out a pretty solid product. There's a billion shows out there to choose from. But when you're choosing those other shows that I feel like aren't even as on the level, I mean, like, you know, that's aggravating. And then you do what you do. I'm not gonna say anything about that. But then you attack me, and then you haven't even really listened to the show. You just start going off half-cocked about how you don't like me or whatever. Like what happened today. Vic made that comment, and immediately I was thrown into the fire that he was talking about me, and that I had said that, and that's not true. I did not say that. And I can see this not going good, this ending badly for everyone in this field. You know, if we continue to go after each other, you know, and I'd like to bury the hatchet, but I can't seem to get that done. You know, I had somebody from one of those channel shows or whatever trying to call my dispatch up, that I turn the phone over at night to the dispatch sometimes, and arguing with him from my job. And I'm going like, what is this accomplishing? And then they just went back and forth. And it was like, this is a person who does listen to my show, but they're not like a part of the PRT team. They work for me. And it was just crazy, dude. They're like, the guy's like, this guy sounded like he was attacking me, and they were arguing back and forth from the Doug pack. And yeah, it was weird. I mean, like for you to get on and call at like 2 a.m. or whatever it was, and start fighting with my dispatch from my company. I mean, don't you think there's a point where it's like crossing the line? You don't think this is like, hey, you know what? I just want to let you do you. Don't tell people you're going to handle me. Don't do that. And if you're not doing that, then we're going to squash you. We're going to let it go. Stop associating and affiliating with certain people who hate Ryan and hate me. And listening and believing what they say, because they're liars. Simple as that. Speaking of Ryan Tremblay, he has a Whisper to a Scream. We have released the second episode of the Goatman stories that came out on Sunday. Here's the problem, folks. Okay. I put a lot of time, energy, and effort into getting those stories and putting them out there, and it was horrible. I mean, it was horrible. The audio, folks, the audio was absolutely horrible. I'm not even going to ask you to go over there and listen to it. And Ryan and me have already talked about it. Ryan knows I'm not bashing on him. It's not his fault. He turned it over to a third party to edit it, and it did not get edited correctly. So we did the best we could to clean it up and to try to edit it. And so we are going to do this. We are going to drop part 1 here on PRT on Friday, so that the audio is cleaned up, and that's going to be what we're going to do. We were going to drop the Honey Island Swamp Monster with Dana Holyfield, but we're gonna push that back, and we're going to drop these 2 Whisper to a Scream episodes, also so that the PRT team, the PRT family, the paratroopers, if you will, that you guys can actually get to hear a Whisper to a Scream, so it's good stuff, it's good stories, it's good product. Ryan does a good job of his research, and I bring the stories. So why is there so much contention between hosts? Jealousy is the main reason. I'm answering this question here from Titan. I think it's jealousy, and I think that there is people who want money, because I think that those particular people that I was talking about, their shows, that's their main source of income, and that if that's your main source of income, that's not. I mean, think about it. You would do almost anything to make a living, to survive. And if that's your main source of income, that opens up doors to all kinds of stuff, dude. Like, that could be, you could say and do anything to try to get that money. And I don't think that's correct. I don't think they should do that, So Eric Ogle, Ryan is killing it. I think Ryan is. I think he's doing a great job. Ryan, I'm glad to have him as part of our team. When Venomous Cringe closed its doors, only to reopen a couple months later under some new brand, Beyond Meat or something like that. Whatever. When Ryan was a free agent, I picked him up right away. I scooped that kid up. I said, man, you got to come. You got to be a part of this. We're going to do this together. We're going to rock it. And but he's been getting attacked too. I mean, the Doug pack has been on him and on me. And we're trying to squash that. And like I said, I think that that guy from that other show, I think he's maybe has a part in this. Stock accounts, they did it before. Putting screenshots of things, trying to say that so and so said so and so, and I kind of, folks, I think I kind of fell for it on the last one. That I think I kind of fell for a couple of those. But there was already a bunch of stuff being said by his real listeners, and I think maybe a couple of them other ones might have been fake. But they were just trying to push, that which is falling should be pushed. So I just pushed it further. Amy, thank you for the donation. Cute little animal there. Thank you, Amy. Appreciate it. People like you to keep the show going. Ryan, though, we edited, Mushu edited the show. So if it sucks, you can blame Mushu. And I was talking to him today. He was on post, and he was talking about wanting to come back really bad and do the show with me. But we are so busy. We are so slammed. Me and Nelly worked all week from Thursday until Monday. We literally got about 10 hours of sleep. And that's, I'm not kidding. We got some new kids working for us, and they're killing it. They're doing great. They're working. They're working their butts off. So. So Ryan, if you're there, let dude from Texas back in the chat room. If you ever kicked him out, let him back in. He's good. Me and him are straight. We talked for a good half, 40 minutes. My buddy Scorpion's cousin has been diagnosed with cancer. He's not doing good, and so please pray for him too. He's going through a lot now too. James Estrada, thank you for your donation, by the way. Hey Wolf, have you ever heard of a phenomenon where people encounter random staircases in the middle of the woods? Mostly happens in national parks. Yes, I have. My wife actually has a story about a random staircase in the woods, but I can't tell it right now because at some point she's going to talk about it. What's going on? See what it looks on. What was that for? Oh, so it goes ding,
yeah,
whatever?
Yeah, so the little zombie pops up.
A little ghost or zombie, whatever. Yeah, so, and then you have people, like I said, playing both sides of this thing. My opinions on Marvin's work doesn't change. I mean, but he's entitled to his opinion. He says he's a better storyteller than me. That's for you to decide, not for me or Marvin. I mean, I believe I'm a better storyteller than him, but it's for him, and we can't have a story off and fight. So he's gonna do what he's gonna do. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. I just know that I don't mess up people's stories. There's not people going around saying that that's happening. It happened like one time, and I corrected that woman, and I was like, "Look, you didn't give me those details, so how could I have known?" So. Says if there were grizzly bears that lived in Texas. Paul, I do believe there were. But that was a long time ago. So don't forget, we're dropping the Whisper to a Scream Goatman episode this coming Friday. So everybody on PRT can hear it in a better audio. Here's the thing. It is going to be a Whisper to a Scream, but it's going to be PRT presents a Whisper to a Scream with Ryan Tremblay, and it's going to be, Lou the good dude just dropping in to show support. Much love, PRT fan. Hope you are all doing good and staying safe. Strange days we're in. Keep the faith. Yes, brother, you keep the faith too. Thank you, Lou. And hopefully all this stuff will blow over, There's one guy that will always dog Ryan out, and that's Chris. I don't care what he says. I have had to I have a lot of lawyers. And that's not a brag either. It sucks because I have to have lawyers for 3 different things. And it's not me being sued or having committed crimes, but for different reasons. Okay. I had to hire lawyers to deal with certain issues, business wise and things like that. And I did consult a lawyer recently about, which I've done it before, when I was being attacked before, and showed them these attacks that were going on. And so I do have a legal, not a team, I would say, but I do have lawyers that are going to be looking into a lot of different things, because I am tired of the attacks and people trying to get into our stuff. And it's just like, dude, come on, man. Tell the story of Bloody Bones. I don't know that blood legend. Sorry. Roadrunner says, don't talk bad about my man Marvin. Okay, then tell him to do the same. Are you telling him to do that? Are you telling him to knock it off? I don't see you doing that. Bobby Hill, thank you. About time I threw down. Appreciate it. Thank you, Bobby Hill. Bobby. Lou says, I think the whole world's at war, and it's not all physical, psychological, financial, and spiritual. Feels like it officially began last week, and it began a long time ago. I don't know. Says, what is the creepiest story from the Devil's Backbone? One that we actually talk about on the, I think the second episode of the Goatman deal. I talk about the Devil's Backbone and a Goatman story, because Goatman has been seen multiple times in that area. I'm just afraid, that this whole thing that's gone on has probably soured my relationship with Vic. But it is what it is. I mean, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and he's going to do what he's going to do. And the Doug Pack has been very vocal about how much he supports them and how much he's on their side and blah, blah, blah. So, I don't give a crap. I don't need his support. I asked him to help me promote my Hernandez Ranch, and he did it 2 weeks after I'd already dropped it. So, do it on my own with my team. That sounds silly. Doing it with my team. We'll do it. Don't need the help. It's just, what irked me was like, he's given this guy a ton of support and a ton of promotion, whatever. But you look at my my shows that have been on his channel, and they have hundreds of thousands of views, like a lot of views. And I just, you made money. So, is Goatman real or a spirit? We get into that on the show. Michael says, if you're being attacked, it means you're doing something right. Keep it up. Yeah. Angel Martin, it's no coincidence that Vic chose to support those guys instead of you, Wolf. Yeah. I mean, I had to PRT fam, paratroopers, whatever you want to call us, PRT Mafia, whatever you want to call us. It is upsetting to me that, my supposed friend, who I've always cut for and defended and been friends with, just kind of, chose to ignore people who were telling him that this guy's story, he messed their stories up, and didn't seem to care. went ahead and put him on there, and then he's kind of just tossed me to the side, like, oh well, and I asked for him to help promote. There wasn't much help there. That's my beef with him, I guess. My real beef with him. But I'm not beefing with him. I'm not gonna fight with him. I'm not gonna argue with him. It just baffles me. I mean, this whole thing with Marvin kind of baffles me, dude. I mean, it's like, I don't know. But then again, I mean, if you looked at it from Marvin's perspective, you're not going to turn down the help. I mean, somebody tells you, hey, come on my show 100 times, and you want to put yourself out there, he's going to do it. So, probably going to be doing another show pretty soon here. I'm going to be doing another episode of PRT that's going to be nothing. It's not going to be cryptid related episode, but it's still very creepy. It's got a lot of weird stuff to it. So that's coming up. I'm going to be doing that. Going to be recording that pretty soon. We're going to be doing some shows about some different subjects. Donna Williams, thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. So you need a golden medallion to go with your jewelry. I'll tell you a funny story. And Scorpion is actually involved in this story. There were some guys who were thugs who we knew, and we were leaving the club one night, and they almost ran us off the road. They were like swerving in and out of traffic, being cute, whatever. And I got out of my truck. This was years ago in the early 2000s, and I punched one of them, the passenger, in the face, knocking him unconscious, and taking his necklace off of him because he was throwing his hands up like, what? We pull up next to us, and so I knocked the heck out of this guy, and we get to the this club to pick up our other friend who was working off of Riverside, and the guy that was driving, who was a friend of mine, and I wasn't a friend of the guy that was in the passenger side, and I didn't realize he was the one driving that car. He followed us over there and starts pleading with me to give him his necklace back. It was an Aztec calendar about that big around. Okay. That thing was 14 karat gold. I know gold, whether it's real or not. That's how I got all my jewelry. You get into a fight with me, it becomes a mugging. So it was gold, and it had a big old thick chain on it. That thing would probably be worth about 10, 11 grand right now. Okay. And Scorpion, you're probably listening, this is true, while I was arguing with my friend about how he deserved what he got, he gave the guy his necklace back. Which I didn't think he deserved that. Now, nowadays, I wouldn't do something, I wouldn't get out and do that, and I wouldn't be like that. But, back in those days, I let the punishment fit the crime, You ran me into a ditch, then you start throwing your hands up, talking crap at the light. One thing leads to another, you get knocked out. And so, yeah, I to this day, I always give Scorpion a hard time about that. And Scorp, I know you're in the chat room somewhere, but I wished I could have kept that. It was a nice piece of gold. Even by those standards back then, it was worth a lot. Gary, there's Scorpion. Scorpion is Gary Lopez. Huffing and rolling my eyes. Rolling your eyes, yes. Well, thank you for costing me all that money. Hope everybody enjoyed last week when we had David Weatherly on. Corey Cole, yes, the picture, resend it because I get a lot of them, and I think I saw it, but I'm not 100% sure. Any stories about giant insects Not necessarily, but I'm going to be doing a show about the mantis. The mantis stories are weird because you got people who talk about these praying mantis creatures, and the descriptions. I thought that it would be like one or two different descriptions, kind of like grays. You know, there's tall and small. These things like run the gamut, dude, from like weird, almost humanoidal type to more insectoidal type. And so you get like this weird mixed bag of these creatures. Yeah, Scorpio, you're never going to live that down. No, you're not. And so, anyways, we're going to do a show about that. We're going to do a show about the mantis people. It says here, love having black-eyed kids guy. Laugh out loud. Yeah, because me and Weatherly have talked. He's one of my favorite people to talk to, you know, off camera, you know, whatever. Me and him, he's so well read, and I love talking to the guy, you know, and I love talking to all these people. I like talking to Nick Redfern a lot too. But we talked about different subjects, you know, me and him, and we kind of went over that, where people remember him as the black-eyed kids guy, and that's funny because he's got so much more to offer than just that. So I mean, you know, and it's unfortunate. I wanted to drop the Dana Holyfield episode this coming week because I am going to try and literally I'm going to try and do an expedition. If we can get it together, I'm going to try and get like Ken Gerhard and Lyle Blackburn. They've both tentatively agreed to go down there, and we're going to look for the Honey Island Swamp Monster, and we're going to try and make a documentary about it. And my friend Trey Felton we're gonna get him on there. I am gonna be picking up some sponsors pretty soon, so that's gonna be a good thing. Gary has a pretty mustache. Gross. Says here at Titan, thanks so much for pledging to the Patreon, bro. When I get some artwork done, I'll be sending you some prints. Ryan, do you have a Patreon? Yeah, James. Yeah, James. Hey, Wolf, do you know anything? It says here, no, I'm impressed. David wrote a what's the theme for the next art contest so I can start early? I don't know. I was going to talk to Ryan about that, and I was thinking about doing the Gug Week. But I don't know. Oh, come on, Scorpion. Screw you too, Wolf. Okay, yeah, whatever. Don't get butt hurt. Don't be hurt. Don't be mad. I know you're on post right now. The baby bull. What does that say? It's the baby bull. Mantis sightings. Angel Martin, has anyone set out to find a cryptid on a docu and actually found one? Not to my knowledge, but doesn't mean they're not out there. I mean, it also goes to what we believe is that they are mostly interdimensional or you know, whatever. I get attacked too for that. I've had people like coming at me sideways. Folks, I am about to faint over here. So I'm sorry if I have to eat a little something. I get attacked in groups for that too. I own that. But I'm a wacko because I believe they can be spirits. I just go by what I get. if people are sending you stories, you just kind of got to go by what they say. Unexplained Encounters, big fan. Just wanted to say listening to you inspired me to start this podcast. And I had a paranormal encounter and a few stories from an old job. Would love to tell them on your podcast one day. Sure. Come on. Derek says it's a big world. We never know what is unexpected out there. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry for making noise, folks, but I got to eat something before I pass out. These stabilized bars, really good. My wife has been cooking these like healthier stir-fried dishes. And I got some waiting for me at the house, but I'm not at the house. I'm trying to put together a series right now that's going to talk about the Book of Enoch and the Nephilim and the Flood and the Watchers. But it's going to be it's going to be a lot of work. And I'm trying to figure out how I want to tackle it. I want to ask your opinion, folks. I'm going to read some of your comments on here. Who knows what the Book of Enoch is? And then I got something else I got to announce too. By the way, congratulations to Jimmy Shoop. Jimmy, you won the giveaway, and I'll be mailing out your prizes tomorrow. It's been so busy. Here's what I'm going to be doing too, folks. Another thing I'm going to do. I'm going to be giving away a PRT shirt or maybe a book if I don't have your size to the chat room every Tuesday. So we're going to pick somebody from the comments. Zach Bell, I'm here. Jimmy Shoop, love y'all. Are you saying that you're Jimmy? Stephen Gilson. In Islam, Enoch is named Idris, but it's a title given to him for his devotion to sacred knowledge. Stephen, he was also Metatron. Wasn't he, Stephen? Cryptidville, I agree with you. Books removed from the Bible tell a complete different history of what really went down. Most of what we have is not complete, because if all you have is the King James version of the Bible, it's a Schofield version of the Bible, you're getting very little information, dude. Gilson says in the Quran, it only says that God placed him or a lofty position, either the fourth heaven or sixth heaven. Because I know that he became the angel Metatron. Enoch was the father of Methuselah, not Abraham. Yes, you are correct. And Methuselah was the father of Lamech, and Lamech was the father of and he was the father of Noah. It said that when Noah was born, he was white as snow, and that his eyes lit up the whole house. It was weird. His hair was white. Says Dick Richards says Metatron is from 3rd Enoch and was never in the Bible. It is free Masonic baloney. Well, the Masons do have a very vast library. I have a couple friends that are Masons, and one of my friends who's a Mason, who one of them belonged to Prince Hall, and the other one was a Scottish Rite. Says, yes, sir, Wolf, he was the one of the two prophets who God turned into angels. Elijah was the second prophet who was a descendant of Aaron. So, my one friend who is a Mason tells me, he goes, you have enough knowledge that you had to have had access to the Masonic libraries. Not necessarily. I'm not a Mason, but I have read a lot. And I used to have about 500 books. And you can ask Anthony. Anthony's not in here, but I had around 500 something books. We had to get a bunch of them, get rid of a bunch of them. I had taken up too much space. And in a lot of these books are out of print. So, go figure. Yeah, exactly. I love this comment. Says Miss Bovades. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that. It says, with everything that people are willing to believe, I don't understand why it's so hard to fathom that creatures can cross dimensions. Myth and legends. Myths and legends are insights to what we choose to ignore. I'm going to tell you something, folks, okay? And you may believe this or not believe this, and you take it for what you want, but Heracles, because that's how you pronounce his name, Heracles, or Heracles, depending on how you say it. Yeah, Scorpion Gary Lopez says, I can verify about the number of books. Yeah, yes, I had a huge library of books. They were taking up too much space. And so everybody was like, you need to get rid of all these books. There's too many. I have the audio books. I have like 1,000 of those audio books. I have like 1,000 of them on Kindle, but it's not the same as having the paper and reading the paper. But I just grab it and take it to work and read it. It's just more comfortable. I'll tell you something. Anyways, Heracles and Thor and all these different characters, it's very possible that they were real. And the average layperson is going to listen to that and go, oh, this guy's so dumb. He believes Marvel characters are real. I bet you believes Iron Man are real too. Because I've had people do that. I said it in a group. Like I said, I'm in a bunch of different groups. When I spoke out in one of the groups, I said that Thor and Hercules and a lot of these other these characters that are in mythology, that they were real people. And I got attacked viciously by these morons who don't read and didn't understand what I was trying to say. In Genesis, it says that these these men that were the offspring of the watchers of the angels, that them and their cavorting with is that the correct word, cavorting, whatever, with human women, that they ended up, thank you for lighting up the world in here, but that they became mighty men of renown, and I believe that these mighty men, they were that's who they were, like Zeus's children, you know. But I believe that those gods, the gods of Olympus, all those gods, they got cast down, and they got straightened up. They got taken in prison, basically. Yeah, Lamp of Light says Masons think Satan's the good guy, the bringer of light, and the Most High God is the evil one. Here's the weird thing, okay, and you're going to get into all this, like what God is and who God is, because if you stop and think about it, the God from the Old Testament of the Bible seems to be a very different God than the one that Jesus talks about, and in a way, I think that could be accurate. And, you know, I don't want to make people mad and people get offended, because if you're not well read and well versed in this, and you haven't delved into the esoteric aspects of these things, you're going to become frustrated, and you're going to become aggravated and angry, and you're going to think that this is me spouting out a bunch of satanic nonsense, but I assure you that it's not. I hate the lighting there. It makes my hair look gray or something. What the hell? I have gray hair. Oh. Anyways, people will become aggravated and frustrated, and they'll think, you know, that you're talking about you're being blasphemous, and you're talking about God not being really God, you know, and that's not what I'm going at. That's not what I'm saying. There seems to be like when Jesus talks about God, it's almost like he's talking about the God, there's like this true God, the big G, you know, that had everything, like control of everything, and why he would argue with the Pharisees so bad, because he said their God is not his God, that their God was Satan, and he was of the synagogue of Satan. And he says that his God is different. You know, it's like something completely different. And there are people who will argue with you all day long and try to convince you that you are incorrect. When you talk about what God of the Old Testament wanted blood sacrifice, it seems odd to me. I mean, like, you know, he chose Abel's sacrifice over Cain's sacrifice because Abel, you know, gave him a lamb. One of the things that the Israelites did a lot was sacrifice animals. Seems weird to me, because the God that Jesus talks about doesn't need you to shed the blood of an innocent animal to please him. Okay? And so that's why a lot of people believe that El Shaitan is the God that they were serving. That's, you know, that was him. And I believe that, you know, some of the people believe that it was the Mesopotamian god Enlil, because they were in bondage in Babylon for a long time. And of course, the Mesopotamians predated them, and it was Enlil and then Marduk. Now, if you go by the Sumerian tablets, those are actually the names of rulers of the ancient kings that ruled over that region for 100,000 years. They lived to be thousands of years. And that would make sense, because if you guys do yourself a favor and go look up Michael Cremo. It's Cremo. I believe that's how you spell it. I don't quote me, but I think that's right. he talks about the yugas. Now, in the yugas, Cremo explains it in some of these videos. He'll tell you exactly, if you don't want to read about it because you just don't have the time, or maybe you're lazy. It says, yeah, I believed that before I got saved, and then I burned the book. Who taught me that? Angel, you're very. I know your belief, and you're very. You believe in the King James version of the Bible. That's great. Okay, but there's a lot of information out there. How would anyone understand what Christ did for us without animal sacrifice? Very simple. Why would you need animal sacrifice to show what Jesus did? You could sacrifice yourself without having someone having to have killed animals before. This makes no sense. Anyways, like I said, if you look at the yugas, starting with the Setra Yuga, the Tetra Yuga, the Dwapara Yuga, the Kali Yuga, it says 430 4 million years ago, that basically in the beginning that there were these people that could live for like 100,000 years. And then, of course, their lifespan, was reduced to about 10,000 years. And then in the Dwapara Yuga, the lifespan was about 1,000 years. Well, Methuselah was almost 1,000 years old. And then, of course, the flood ended that age, the Dwapara Yuga. What Christians, Buddhists, Muslims, and Hindus don't get is that you're all got a piece of the puzzle. But I do believe as a Christian that Christ is the way to the Father. He says that there is no other way but through him. Now, I do tend to believe that. I am going to say this, though. There is a lot of truth in a lot of other religions, but the problem is this. I was explaining this to one of my employees the other day. We were having a talk, and he was asking me some questions, and I told him, I said, if you're a Muslim and all you've ever done is read the Quran, then, and you 100% believe that is the true word of God and there's nothing else, then you're not going to know. How can you argue with a Christian or a Buddhist when you haven't read their material? You don't even know what it says. All you know is what you've read, and that has made you 100% believe in that. Okay? But if you're going to argue that your religion is correct, then shouldn't you know what the other religions are even saying? Because what happens is people are like, oh, this deviates from what I believe because my religion says that this is 100% correct, and they tell you don't believe any of the other religions because they're all wrong. I mean, there are a bunch of different sects of Christianity. There are a bunch of different sects of Islam. There's Sunni and there's Shiite. And Muslims will be like, oh, this is the word of Allah and it's never been changed and blah, blah, blah. Well, the Sunni don't agree with what the Shiites believe. The Catholics don't agree with the Protestants. So how can you sit there and say that your belief is 100% correct because you feel it in your heart, because you prayed for discernment and you feel it in your heart that it is correct, right? Anybody can do that. It's open for anybody to do that. But all these religions do the same thing. They pray and then they feel it in their heart that they are correct. When all you can do is look at all the material. And then you're shocked at how much it mirrors one another, about how much of this material is very similar. I mean, think about it. At the end of the Kali Yuga, what ends the Kali Yuga is a man named Krishna Kalik comes to Earth and smites all the bad guys and sets up a new kingdom, and then there's all this good stuff that happens after that. What does that sound like? Krishna Kalik. Okay, and then the Christian belief, it's Jesus Christ. Even the Muslims believe that Christ will return. That much we're all in agreement. At least 3 of the 4 major religions, that he's going to return, and then all the bad people are going to be put down, and they're going to be given what's coming to them, and then they're going to be, So if all this information mirrors each other, then let me ask you this. Why are we all fighting about it? It's because people they've chosen to take a very narrow view of what they want to believe, and everybody else is wrong. There couldn't possibly be an answer that doesn't make us all kill each other. Anyways, if you start getting into religion, you go down a slippery slope. What I'm talking about is explaining the Watchers and the Nephilim and all that. And we will get into that eventually. And if you are a diehard Christian or a Muslim or whatever you are, and you want, to be able to make the argument that your religion is the correct religion, then one of the things you need to do is learn what the other religions are saying. I'm not telling you to go and become a Taoist or Taoist Buddhist or whatever monk, but it doesn't hurt to at least hear them out and understand what they're saying. And I think you'd be surprised at how close our religions are all. Christ was gone for 20 years out of the Bible. We don't know what he was doing or where he was at, but we do have some people who claim that he was in their land, and they really fully believe that he went to India and that he went to these different countries all the way to Japan. And there's records of a man that fit that description that was there in those lands, and the stories are passed down, from generation to generation, that there was this man, Isis, who traveled. Tell you what, when I was in college, I took a world history class, and I had this professor, and he asked this class, it was about 50, 60 kids in there, and he said, barring religion, okay, leaving Buddhism, Christianity, Islam all out of the mix, what is the single most important event that ever took place in the history of the world? And I sat there for a minute, and I felt like I knew the answer, but I wanted to hear what these other kids had to say. And a lot of kids said different things, like things that I don't think were even close, like the Magna Carta and the sinking of the Spanish Armada, which the English didn't do, by the way. They get a lot of credit for all kinds of stuff that they actually didn't do. A storm destroyed that. Invasion, Alexander the Great, which was pretty big. He did a lot, bringing Hellenism to the world, the Hellenistic culture, which has nothing to do with hell, is about the Greek culture. Different things like that, I raised my hand, and my answer was about Alexander, but it was more about the city that he founded in Egypt. There's a port city called Alexandria. I raised my hand, and the professor called on me, and I said, the burning of the Library of Alexandria. And he stopped everything and was like, okay, hold on, what was that again? And he told me to stand up, and so I stood up, and I said, the single most important event in history, other than religion, religious-wise, which would have been Christ being born and dying on the cross for me, but the single most important event in history, outside of religion, was the burning of the Library of Alexandria. Folks, the knowledge of the ancient world was stored at that location in that library, because Alexander, who was also known as the scientist king, who conquered most of the known world at that time, he conquered all the way from Greece to India. They had collected tons and tons and tons of knowledge. Okay, there are even books that have been written about Alexander having encountered dog-headed creatures. You know, these people, dog-headed people, whatever. There were legends of him fighting these insect creatures, all these things, none of which can be proven, of course. And I've read at least half a dozen books about Alexander. But he founded the Alexandria, and the knowledge in Alexandria, the library, everything was stored there. But it burned because during the war between Egypt and Rome, when Rome went after Egypt and was basically putting him in check and kicking him in the teeth because they had tried to stand up to Rome, and Julius Caesar had taught them a lesson. He had to go over there and tell them, look, this isn't correct. You know what you're doing. You owe us tribute. And so there was a fire that took place, and it was either him or Augustus. It might have been Augustus that did it, and I think it was when Mark Antony, who was Julius Caesar's lieutenant, was shacking up with Cleopatra, who was a Ptolemy, by the way. And this isn't to offend anybody, but she wasn't African. Everybody's always like, she was African. She wasn't. She was a Ptolemy. She was of Greek descent, and they kept their bloodlines like pretty the Ptolemies. Ptolemy was actually Alexander's brother. But for generations they had a dynasty there in Egypt, and but I believe it was when Cleopatra and Mark Antony and Augustus laid siege to the city, and it burned. The library burned, but you can look it up. But this professor, he told me that I was on the right track. He said, you know what? He said that he agreed with me. And we talked after class, and he said that he agreed that was the single most important tragic event, because we lost a ton of information about the ancient world and the world that we live in. I believe that there was information about the Lemurians. I believe that there was information about Atlantis. I believe Plato was correct, What happened to the lights in here, Anthony? To make sure my hair doesn't look like it's gray. That's one thing I've been fortunate about. I don't have a lot of gray hair yet, even though I'm 45. It says, Wolf, I've been a fan since I first heard you on Vic's show. I think you are the best paranormal storyteller out there. Thanks. And that person is Frank522. Thank you, Frank. And thank you for your donation. Folks, your generous donations keep the show going. It says, did you read the whole Bible, Josh? Killer Kano, I went to a Becca School of Bible Academy. So what do you think? It was pretty much beaten into us. Literally, it was beaten into me. Okay? I had a very miserable time in that school. I brought a dinosaur book to school because science was just right out, unless it was creationism, which I don't totally buy into. But I brought a book about dinosaurs that I had gotten for Christmas. This is kind of a sad story. I was very proud of it. It was back when Walden Books were still around, and I was we were Christmas shopping, and I found this dinosaur book, and I really liked it, and I kept reading it, looking at it. And my mom saw me reading it and liked it, and that I liked it, and so she got the book for me, and I opened it up on Christmas Day, and I love that book. It was so cool. And so anyway, I took it to school after the Christmas vacation. Big mistake. The teacher who was a psychopath, took my book in front of the whole class, ripped the pages out of it, and threw it in the trash. This book was like $13, $14, which back in like the early 80s, early to mid 80s, whatever, was a lot to pay for a book. And my parents were quite upset. But the book was evil because it had dinosaurs. And according to them, the devil planted those bones there. Yep. Says, Josh, in your studies about the Nephilim, would you say that they are the bedrock to most of the cryptid world that's encountered today? Great work, bro. Blessings on you and yours. Titan, thank you for the donation. Man, this is awesome. I think that it's very possible. I don't totally believe... I could get into this whole thing, dude. I don't totally believe that they were necessarily having intercourse. They did, but not to the point. I think a lot of this stuff was genetically altered stuff that was going on. You know, there are places in India where there's glass on the ground, where, according to their texts, there was like a weapon that was used that was from a flying vehicle, and that it scorched the earth. And we know that archaeologically there had to have been some sort of nuclear blast there. And I'm not going to get into the whole where it's at and all that. Just look it up and read about it. It's like a sea of glass. And it coincides with what they believe happened, that there was like a war. And I think there was more than one or two wars. I think each age ended with a war. Just like Tolkien. I think Tolkien was onto something with the first age, the second age, the middle age, and all that, all those different ages. I believe that he was onto something. I believe that they were. Folks, think about this. Do you really believe that our history is only like 6,000 years old? We are a people with amnesia. Okay, we have amnesia. Göbekli Tepe is like, what is it, 11,000 years old? We know nothing about that. I mean, it's like you can't even like begin to. And then Stimulate says, some yes, UFO phenomena exploded after Crowley, Jack Parsons, and L. Ron Hubbard. They were doing opening portals. They were doing satanic ceremonies. You know, it says glass most likely from asteroid explosion over the desert. Not necessarily. Why did the asteroid explode over the desert? Why did it just go, this is come and then blow up over the desert? That's what you think? But yet, that they talk about a war that took place in the heavens. I'm just saying that there's a lot more to this. I mean, like, I believe that there were a lot of little g's, like gods, that put themselves up as God, but they weren't God. There's only one God, and yes, I am familiar with the gap theory. There's only one God, okay, and that's the Father of Christ. Christ, when he leaves Jerusalem, before he returns after 20 years, it's almost like he's believing in what the Old Testament was and says and is, and he's kind of down with all that. Then when he comes back, he's like, it's almost like he's changed. It's like God is in the heavens, and he's not something that you can see or touch or feel. It is all that is good. It is all that is light. He was sent as a savior to save us, to bring us out of this horrible time period that we're in. And this is what I believe, and that I believe that he was with him, between him and the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit acts through the Spirit. He was the Spirit, and Jesus was the Word made flesh. We had to have him there as a physical being so that we could, our little physical brains could wrap around, because he was a man. Okay? Just as I believe that there's a veil, and I believe that there is a spirit world that is beyond that veil, but that it's like a gulf that separates us from the spirit world. Because if you were going around seeing spirits all the time, you go crazy. So that's why when someone dies, they may be able to visit you when you're in that in-between dream state or in the dream state, when you leave your body. but not necessarily just show up. Like it happens, but not as often. Because they're in another plane of existence, and we're not really there to interact because we're in this flesh to learn. And I think that there is a lot going on. There's been too many beings that have set themselves up as the devil and as God. I believe that there's been multiple devils and multiple gods. But there's really only one God, and Christ, he found who that was. He found who his true father was. And he says, he goes, your father is not my father. Your father is Satan, and he's of the synagogue of Satan, who was a liar and a murderer from the beginning. And he's referring to Shaitan. And I'm going to bring some people on the show, and we're gonna talk about this kind of stuff. And I'm going to let them each give their take on it. One of them is my friend Mimi. She's real versed in this. She has her own beliefs, and I'm going to let Nick talk. Nick, he's written a book about ancient civilizations. I know a lot of people got kind of turned off by him whenever he came on the Hellhounds of Taylor episode, but he does have some pertinent information, and you can make your own decision. I am still learning. I am still like researching, and I vacillate back and forth. Like, do I believe this? Do I not? All I know is that I believe that Christ is the way because he was sent as a savior to get us out of this matrix. And so I believe that is the big deal. We are kind of like living in this matrix, and we don't have all the answers. It says in the Torah they talk about Jesus like 25 times and only talk about Muhammad like 12 times around about. When does the Torah speak of Muhammad? The Torah predates, that's like the first 5 books of the Bible. They don't really talk about, I'm not following what you're saying. Kent Hovid, who is that? It says, Josh, I would cuss the teacher out. Well, I couldn't do that. It was corporal punishment back then. And in that private school. Not capital punishment. That's, corporal punishment. And I got hit a lot in that school. But I got hit by my dad like every day, so it didn't matter anyway. I was used to it. Yeah, Torah doesn't speak of him. It said, would all holy symbols work against evil demons, evil spirits, vampires, etc.? Well, it says in 2 Timothy that the 6-pointed star is actually the star of Remphan. And they're told not to use it. So that symbol, I wouldn't use that symbol. And I'm not talking bad about Jewish people or anything like that. Okay, folks, don't misquote me. But that symbol, it is controversial because the 6-pointed star, you look up the dimensions of it, and then when it was used, the star of Remphan. So I don't know. And the star, the Muslim symbol, is the crescent moon, which Allah, a lot of people believe. And I'm not saying this is my belief or not my belief. It is stimulate Chuck Missler. I'm not a fan of Chuck Missler at all, or John Hagee. I think that they mislead people. They have good information. I don't know, dude. I'm not big on evangelicals at all. I don't think it's correct. but I'm not big on a lot of these different people. You know what I mean? But I can tell you this, that the Allah was was the name of, it was a moon god. There's a lot of people that believe that. That's why they don't believe that Islam has validity. But I don't know. I mean, I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to offend Christians, Jews, or Muslims, or Buddhists, or Hindus, and say that, you know, I'm correct and you're not. You know, I just know that there are there's a lot of controversial stuff, and everybody's got their own beliefs. You know what I mean? And stimulate. I'm not trying to offend you. You can listen to and believe whoever you want. I would say this is a conversation that I would have with people in private, you know, not on YouTube, you know, and we could debate God and the devil and who the devil is and what he is. Because like I didn't agree with the late Brenton Solomon. We were good, you know. I like Brenton, and don't get me wrong, you know. I agreed with a lot of what he said, but he used to say, "Well, the devil doesn't divide his kingdom." I'm like, well, the devil didn't have a choice, because evil is evil, and evil by its very nature is evil doesn't play by the same rules. Okay, there is no loyalty there. Okay, so how on earth could you make evil all fall in line and just, you know, be on the same team? There's going to be backstabbing and backbiting and jealousy and deceit, because that's what it is by its very nature. Good, where good always has the upper hand, because good is loyalty and honesty and love and kindness and caring. So it says if you discern, yeah, you'd have to do a lot of discerning with Chuck Missler, though. I mean, John Hagee has basically come out and said that Jesus wasn't the Messiah. Says he failed on the cross. I mean, dude, that guy. I mean, I'm just going like, how's this guy even calling himself a Christian? No, Jag. Why in private? It is like most important thing for humans to why hide it? Because I will be demonetized by YouTube. That's why. You can't just say whatever you want, because if someone says, I'm offended, and then they decide that you're being a bad, naughty boy, then they'll take away what money we make from it. Rimfan star symbolizes the combining of divinity, pointing up. Yeah. No, it doesn't. Okay. Yes, you're looking at it from that perspective, but that's not correct, because we're told in two different places that you're not supposed to use that star. That symbol is not supposed to be used. It was of the temple of Rimfan, where that they would go and make sacrifices to Baal. Okay, and that's not. All of these names too, like Rimfan and Baal and Marduk and all these were all gods that were worshipped by the Canaanites, and I believe that they were the kings of old, and they weren't gods at all. They were maybe descendants of the Watchers or the Watchers themselves, and that they were just set up as gods, you know. Yes, says Jordan Cogburn, God is able of these stones to raise up children unto Abraham. Yes. He could bring, you know, yeah, exactly. Well, yes, Stefan, Allah definitely means God in Arabic, but also predating Islam, okay? There were there's a lot of different regions in the Middle East, and a lot of these, there were different gods, a pantheon of gods. For the Persians, they had like 126 gods or something. It's crazy. And then you had like all these different gods in Syria, and all these different gods in all these different regions. Allah at one time was a part of the pantheon of Arabic gods, and he was the moon god. Which is kind of weird that they put the moon, the symbol of the moon, on the flag. if you want to, you can explain to the people why you do that. I mean, why would you put the crescent moon? Okay. Kind of agree with you, Diane Rain. Remember the Future by Nectar, good song. We've been here already. Multiple timelines, multiple incarnations, reconnect, unused DNA, frequency is everything. Yeah, I agree with that to a degree. Yeah. I believe that we've been here before. So, ancient moon god named Sin. Yeah, because there's a lot of information out there, folks, and you just have to read. You just have to, and like people say, use discernment. King James Version omitted all books disclosing reincarnation. In my opinion, yes, they did. It says if the Catholic Church is the universal church, is that why it incorporates all the gods? Jordan, explain. I don't get that. I didn't believe in a reincarnation until the last, like, maybe 15 years. When I started having these past life dreams, visions, if you will. And I believe that that's one of the things that could happen when you die. Only those that have passed over know the truth 100%. Yeah, it says Allah is mistaken as the Judaic god. Allah is a lesser pagan moon god in male form, as I understand it. They also had a female moon god. The Kaaba stone in Mecca that Muslims walk around was pagan. I don't agree with that. I mean, like, why would some stone, some black stone, be so important to your religion? I don't really agree with that. I don't understand that. There is a passage in the Bible that talks about Jesus, and I'm so tired right now, I can't even tell you exactly which one it is. I had it written down and had talked about it on multiple occasions with different people. I'm sorry, folks, I got to stretch. I had talked about it with multiple people on different occasions about it, and it was basically saying that Jesus says that it is for man to be born and die but once. Yeah, there again, I think a lot of things are taken out of context, and I'm going to tell you this. He's correct. But to use that one passage to deny the existence of reincarnation, because Jesus says you must be born again, you must be born again, you must be born again, and everybody automatically just assumes he's talking about the spirit. There is a lot of information out there, okay, that's missing from what we need to solve all these puzzles. I believe when Christ talks about being born again, it's not just spiritually. I believe that you have to do it again and again until you get it right. Or you end up in a hell realm, or you eventually transcend and go to heaven, a heavenly realm. But the ultimate goal is your life, spark, and breath of God goes back to the source, the creator. And I believe that. But I believe that people used to ask me all the time, do you think you're going to go to heaven? Do you think you're going to go to hell? And I used to tell them, first of all, it's not up to me where I go. I can do the best I can and try to live the best life I can, but ultimately, just being saved and a Christian doesn't get you a free ticket to go to heaven, like a lot of Christians believe. Just believing in Allah doesn't get you a ticket, like a lot of Muslims believe. Or just being Jewish and saying you're God's people doesn't get you a ticket to heaven. And or just being a Buddhist and being a good person doesn't mean you're going to come back and be the ruler of the world because you were a good guy. None of it matters. I mean, you know, we don't have all the answers. All you can say 100% is that you will die. And when that time comes, then you'll know the truth. I can tell you this. I believe that when Jesus says that in the Bible, and like I said, I don't know the exact passage. If somebody wants to take the time to look that up, go ahead and stick it on here. But he says it is for a man to be born and die but once. He's talking about me, Josh Turner, a.k.a. Wolf. Okay, this body, this physical body, will live once, and it will die. And it's not going to rise and be born again until judgment, whatever, will be brought up. But I believe that we're gonna be brought up in the spirit. I believe that our spirit will be judged, and that's what I believe. I believe that, you know, they say, well, you know, you're going to live and die but one time. You know, that's all there is to it. So what happens to somebody who dies as a child? You know, they didn't even get to live their life. That's it for them. That's it. Game over. Boom, boom. You're born and died real quick, and then that's it. And, you know, what happens to that? Because we're born in sin. So if this person is born in sin and never even had a chance to be saved or to hear the gospel, do they get a free pass? Bob Sapp? Are you talking about that loser that always got beat up and pride fight? What are you talking about? I'm reading this comment here. Yeah, Victor says, in the desert, people were moon worshippers. In Europe, they were sun worshippers. The legacies of this is still seen today. Yeah, Avatar. It's just a shell. Diane, you're right. I mean, I agree with that, too. I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, I believe that you can die and go to heaven. I believe you can go to hell, and it could be not necessarily permanent, because we know the nature of time now, that everything happens simultaneously. I mean, the time is a man-made concept. So when you're talking about eternity, I'm doing the same thing I'm doing right now for all eternity. We can't fathom, folks, our little human mind can't fathom, you know, all this stuff. There is a type of, and I'm not going to recommend people do this, but there are people, and I'm not even going to give you, actually, I'm not going to give you the name of it, because then somebody will go do it and then say Josh Turner said to do it, and I did not say to do that. There is a type of gold that people ingest. I'm not saying that I would do this, but I know people who've done it, and they claim that it opens up different strands of their DNA and gives them abilities, because supposedly supposedly we have all these different strands of DNA that are closed off, and that actually opens it up and makes you enlightened, and you can understand things and comprehend things a lot better. I don't know if that's true, but that's what people claim. Because I know that, seeing somebody just said it on there. I don't want to give, I don't want to talk, because then somebody will go and do it, and then it'll, But they claim that that's what happens. Okay. The 12 strands of the DNA, of course, Stitchin's work, and then you talk about the Sumerian tablets, and whether and I had this conversation with Nick Redfern one day, and one day we were just on the phone talking about it. And, it's kind of like, did he decipher the Sumerian tablets correctly? Because he talks about, the Anunnaki having the abilities, and, they were like giants, of course, and they had the ability to do all these things, so they were like gods to us, and so it's really weird too, because in the Mesopotamian belief, Enlil actually was the one that sent the flood, and he's the one that actually flooded the earth because he hated mankind, supposedly. So supposedly at that time he was God, but like I said, these are little g gods. Just ruling over the earth doesn't make you God. Ruling over the known universe / multiverse and having the power over all of that makes you the God. So that's the big G. He has the power over all of that, and all these other little g's may think they're gods, but they're not really God. They're not the most high God. You can be a king and call yourself the most high God, most high king. You can call yourself emperor of the galaxy if you want. It doesn't mean that you are. But there is only one God, and I'll tell you right now, Christ was his son, and I worship the God through Christ as my intermediate. And I pray to God through Christ. I ask God, I pray in Jesus' name, and I ask things from his Father, because I believe that his Father, who he found to be his true Father, that's the God that we should be worshiping. That's the God that we should be serving. So. Dick Richards, ready your mind. Death will stalk the earth. It already is. It's just going to get worse because we're in the Kali Yuga. Folks, look up the Yugas. You think I'm playing? You think I'm playing, yo? Smile for the camera. For the camera. I'm so fly, all the haters and the killers wanna get me. And it's true. They want to get me. People want to get you. They want to get you because they're not you. They're bitter. They're angry. Disappointed. They didn't do anything with themselves. God gives you all the tools in the world that you need to do what you got to do. And you still can't do it. You still can't figure it out. See, folks, I have a lot of pieces of the puzzle that I believe are there, but I can't come out personally and tell you right now on YouTube what I believe or what I've found to be the truth. I wish I could, because if I could, I would be probably kicked off of YouTube and told to I will never be allowed to, whatever. So I can't do it. You have to do the research and come to your own conclusions. I can sit here and tell you word for word, step by step, what I believe is the truth. And that there's a lot of missing pieces of the puzzle. Like I said, I believe that me, Josh Turner, will die, and I will face my judgment. But it doesn't mean that I won't have to return to do it again as Joe Schmo or whatever. And then Joe Schmo, whatever that incarnation is, will die, because you are to live and die but once as that person. That's it. You don't die and then get up and walk around and reanimate as a corpse unless you're possessed by some sort of demon. And that's a whole nother show we're going to do at some point, on Fridays. So yeah, I think that that's what that passage means. It's also interesting. This is a pyramid. Okay. Why are there so many of these around the world? What is the significance? Jag, what do you keep talking about Bob Sapp? Who is Bob Sapp? Remember, are you talking about a different Bob Sapp than the one I know who couldn't fight and got beat up all the time? I don't know. He was just a big ex-NFL football player that got beat up. I mean, he won a few fights, but... Cornholio, whatever your name is, Jesus was born just how dogmen are born. Yeah, no, that's not correct. Whatever. So you're telling me that the pyramid is the Illuminati and it's the all-seeing eye and it's evil cabal. Wrong. Doesn't mean they don't use it, because it's a very powerful symbol. Says John Philip Villafranca, thank you for your donation. I appreciate that. Yes, they do use pyramids because they are powerful symbols. But all of those pyramids in Egypt, all of the ziggurats in South America, and pyramids all over the world, they were built and used by different civilizations because they had power. And they have healing power too. Sorry to burst your bubble. If you want to believe that they're evil, go ahead. Now, just because the Illuminati used it doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. Here's what I'm telling you. I used a baseball bat to hit home runs when I played baseball, in school, and when I played outside of school, whatever, in leagues and whatever. Another guy picks up a baseball bat and he goes and he bashes his friend's head in, or murders somebody with it and robs them or whatever. So that means baseball bats are evil? I mean, I can use these fists to make you a delicious dinner, or I can use them to beat you to death. Are my hands evil? It depends on who's wielding it. Corley Cantor, thank you for your donation. I don't know why everybody thinks that dogs are born like we are. We really have no idea. Lunatic says, I thank God every day for getting me through this past year of homelessness, and now that I'm back in my own place, I'm never leaving. Oh, that's nice. So you say baseball bats are as evil as pyramids. What? Just kidding, Jag. I'm just messing with you. Bam. No. What I'm saying is if somebody uses a pyramid for evil, it's a tool. Okay, you're using that. I could pick up a wrench and I could fix your car, or I could pick up a wrench and bash your head in with it. Okay, it's a tool. Okay, you never heard that? AK-47 is a tool. Don't make me act a mother freaking fool. Okay, I believe it was a great philosopher, Ice Cube, that said that. Me and you can go toe to toe, no mate. Knocking suckers out the box daily. Your weekly, monthly, yearly. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. The great poet. Stephen Gilson. So, Wolf, do you don't think it takes away from God's uniqueness to create a soul if you believe in reincarnation to make the same person over and over? Wouldn't that limit God? No. Because you don't make the same person over and over again. There will never be another Josh Turner. Well, I'm talking about the country singer, and there's me, and then I actually have a group called the Josh Turners, and there's a whole bunch of us, and we're in a group together. It's this whole thing. It's weird. Anyways, we are individuals, though. I mean, there's a bunch of Josh Turners, just like there's Stephen Gilsons, I'm sure, out there. It's not as common of a name, but still. Okay? But you have that Josh Turner as this Josh Turner in the flesh, this 360 pounds of me, 6'4", big ball of flesh that I am, is going to die at some point and buried or cremated or whatever the heck you want to do with my body. I don't care what you do with this body. You can, as John Prine said, send my stomach to Milwaukee if they run out of beer, give my eyes to to the blind, whatever you want to do. I don't care. Cut me up and pass me all around. Put my socks in a cedar box. What it says? I can't remember how it goes. Just get them out of here. Anyway, John Prine sings a song about when he dies, he don't care. Please don't bury me down in the cocoa ground. I'd rather have them cut me up and pass me all around. Throw my brain in a hurricane, The blind can have my eyes. And the deaf can have both of my ears if they don't mind his eyes. The point is that I don't really care what happens to me when I die. I'm dead. The body's gone. My thing is this. God can create new souls, or he can allow you to be an old soul and give you another shot. I believe it's ultimately up to him. I believe that there's a system in place that we cannot fathom. Okay? And we have no way to understand it. I mean, we can debate about it all day, and it's pretty interesting. I have a lot of information I'd like to put out there, but I can't really talk about a lot of it on here because, I'll be demonetized, and so I can't really get into a whole lot of stuff, a lot of stuff I just can't talk about. I don't necessarily believe that I'm going to be reincarnated. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't even sit around and think about heaven or hell or reincarnation. I don't. People ask me what I think about it. I'm like, all I do is I live my life to the best that I can. I do what I got to do. I do what I can. I try to help people, and I do the right thing, and I have been saved. And if that's what works, then it works. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't. If God, the omnipotent Father, sees fit to punish me and put me in hell, then that's what he's going to do. if he wants to raise me up to heaven, then and I'm so grateful for that, then I'll be so grateful for that. Then that's what he does. If he says, I got a job for you, you got to go to another system and do this or do that, then that's what I do. If I got to get put in a timeout and then come out and then go, it doesn't matter. Whatever the Father God, the Father of Christ tells me that's what we're going to do, that's what we're going to do. And then we're going to move on from there. Congratulations, Nina. That's great. I just think that it doesn't take away from God's glory to bring the same person back over and over again in a different body, because you will be born more than likely without those memories, and you're not going to have any recollection of that past life. Very few people ever come to the realization or have the cognizance to know who they were in a past life, and most of the time all you ever really catch are glimpses of it. So no, it doesn't. Actually, it speaks to God's power to be able to bring you back and put you into another body, and you don't even remember your old life. It says, I cheated death so many times, it's super weird. I'm a dumb not to believe in God. You can cheat death 1,000 times, but all death has to do is win one time, James. Because he's immortal, and all he has to do is beat you once. Everybody, congratulations to Nina Sinclair. She was asked to be married. And I can tell you that marriage can be a good thing or it can be a bad thing. I have a good friend who's married. She's married to a scumbag, and his name is Chris, and he sucks. But by the same token, I'm married to the love of my life, Nellie. Wouldn't have it any other way. She's my honeybee. I love her. But yeah, it's one of those things where you just if you live your life correctly, I believe, and you've learned the lessons you're going to learn, you'll transcend. And then, and of course, in the Kali Yuga that we're in, it is an easier time for you to actually transcend, because there's sin and evil all around you, and you must divorce yourself from the sin and evil of this world. And if you do that, then you can go to the next level, if that makes any sense. Anybody understands that? So, folks, what I want you to do, I'm going to check out here in a little bit, in a few minutes here. What I want to do is tell everybody, we got a little bit of time. I want to tell everybody that I want to know what your next creature, what you want us to do. I kind of thought I knew what I wanted to do, but then I started kind of thinking, I might go another direction. And I don't want to just say dogman or werewolf, because there's a lot of different types. There's a lot of different types of Bigfoot. So I was thinking the Gugwi, or this person just said dogman, devil monkeys are the same thing. I don't agree with that, but you never know. Maybe devil monkeys, I don't know. But we'll see. I'm going to look into maybe the Lechusa, drawing one of these, whatever, and maybe we can figure out what we're going to do for the next creature or whatever. Because there are people that are born as little children that have they have memories of their past life. And I mean, it is complete. I mean, I'm talking 100%. They remember a past life where people can sit there and say, yeah, these people have lived before. They are absolutely, there's no way they would know who these people are. And they talk about these other people's lives like they lived them, possibly because they did. So you're sitting there thinking, like, how can you not? I mean, there's so many cases like that. I mean, how can you sit there and dismiss something out of hand because it doesn't fit into your belief that the religion that you chose to believe in? Yes, Ryan, thanks for pointing that out. I think you need to do more research. Chupacabra is a reptile-like creature, not a canine. That's correct. So there are so many people who've had these past life discussions, with their parents and with their elders, and they'll talk about someone that they have no reason to know anything about. And so then you got this whole weird dynamic, of a child who is completely aware of a person that lived before them and that died before they were born. And so some of these kids aren't even old enough to read, so you can't sit there and say that they were reading about this person. This person has nothing written about them. It says Chupacabra is a dog-type creature. No, it is not. Okay? You're talking about a blue dog. I've gone over that with Ken Gerhard, and it's a blue dog. I've seen one. I've seen more than one on more than one occasion, actually. It's just a weird-looking dog with, like, no hair. It's just a weird... That's not the Chupacabra. My buddy Ken was on a TV show and he went and investigated one. So the leprechaun episode was interesting. Maybe more of that. Give me some leprechaun stories, because I really don't have any that I can put into that box and say these are leprechauns. Corley Cantor, don't remember which episode where he talked about the blob that interacted with the girl. That was on Halloween. That was on the second Halloween episode. It says, but it made me remember I had a similar experience with the blob like that when I was a kid. People do. Since that episode, I've gotten about 2 or 3 different blob stories. I'll tell you a story, guys, okay? Since you're here and you like hearing a story, I'll tell you a story. I'll give you one of the blob stories, since they're there. Oh, God, this is weird. This person claims that they left some meat. This is a very short story, but it's still a story nonetheless. They gave me this, and it was, how meat, there's like a gelatin that coagulates at the bottom when you make meat, like a roast or something. And they claim that their sister went into the kitchen and screamed. It was 2 days. They had left it out, and that this gelatin had kind of congealed into a form and had slid out of the pan and gone down the oven, and that she walked in whenever this thing was moving, and then it slid underneath their oven. So needless to say, it freaked them the heck out. So when their roommate came home from their apartment, they decided to be brave and pull the stove out to try to find it. They never did find it. But a lot of weird stuff happened after that. Only got a couple of examples because the conversation I had with this person was recent and my wife needed me, and so I had to cut the conversation short. But it was a very weird story. Some weird stuff went on like after that. They believe that this thing may have went into the wall. Very weird. Nina, once again, it says here's past life topics interested me greatly. As a child, I had a dream nightly for at least 2 years about an airplane crashing into my house. I used to daydream at school. I would strongly smell ether. You believe you died in a plane crash and died on an operating table and went to work in the aviation business. Most of my wife's family works in the aviation business too, the aeronautical business. What do I think dreams are? Depends. I mean, like, I come out of my body sometimes when I dream. I've astral traveled multiple times. I even went to sleep one time in the Cabela's parking lot when I was working too much overtime for another company, and I ended up falling into my body. I looked up and I saw the stars, and I fell into my body. Josh, do you believe death is an entity? I believe that death is an entity in the way that we can create it as a tulpa. I was told by a hold on. Good girls, thank you for the donation. Josh, do you believe death is an entity? Also, do you have any accounts of people seeing a death-like entity during or around time of another's death? Yes, I do. And I also have stories of people that I'm going to get into. I'm going to do a show about this. Let me write this down because I had just talked to this about with my wife yesterday. People seeing ghosts of people who are deceased, and they touch them and hug them and they interact with them and they're physically there. And then they find out that they've been dead for a day or two. It's very weird. This is what I forgot to write down. I knew there was something I was going to write down when I got here. Got it in my phone, but it's easier to just write it down in the notebook. I don't have to mess with the phone because phones go dead. Reverend Dickey, I think it's rare that anyone gets a second chance. We just keep respawning. It's probably just one and done. Fix it this time, else it's final. I'm gonna. Oh, that's your belief, but I believe that it's not necessarily a privilege to come back. Okay, it's not necessarily a good thing. You keep having to come back and live in this hard life, and it can only get harder too at times. You end up in this because the further we go into the Kali Yuga, look it up. Okay. You're not going to want to keep coming back, okay? Jesus came to get us out of this, to pull you out, because you're not going to want to have to keep coming back into this. This isn't no video game where you just have fun, run around, and you get to keep respawning. That's not what I'm talking about. In fact, it's kind of aggravating to word it that way because I'm not mad about it. It's your opinion, but that's not correct, okay? That's not what I'm saying at all. I don't want to have to come back here and do this again. My life was very hard. I had a very, 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 very hard life. And as a child, my life sucked. My home life was garbage. And I had a very abusive dad. And so I don't want to have to come back and live this life again. This is not something I want to go through again. You understand what I'm saying? So this isn't about respawning like a video game. It would really suck to have to come back and do this all over again. So it's not like a privilege thing where you're like, oh, I get to come back. You know, I mean, I guess the alternative being hell, I guess I'd rather come back and have to deal with it again. But then you have to go through the trauma of dying all over again and doing all the, and doing all these things. It says here, your life is hell. I mean, and sometimes your life is what you make of it. But a lot of times, though, I hear you, life sucks. My life has been very garbagey lately. Other than just, I've been able to make a living, which is more than a lot of people are doing right now. We're blessed to have that, but you don't want to have to come back. And the further you go into the Kali Yuga, the worse it's going to get. Ethan, sorry for the rough times, man. You know what? The thing I think about this, my mother had a stroke and a heart attack. Okay, at the same time, which is just she's pretty much blind at this point, and now she's got a bleed in her brain, and it could be any time. And I'm just waiting for this. And then my sister is using this as her time to not communicate with me. And just communicate with my wife because we got some kind of little beef, so she's going to act the way she's acting. And it's like, her and her husband and my dad, dude, I am closer to my mailman than I am to these people. And the mailman probably cares about me more than they do. I just look at it like, the people that were put in place to do things for me just wouldn't. My dad could have ended my suffering a long time ago. He let my stepmother just run over me always, did all the things that he, he just never, when I needed help, he could have, when somebody messed up my ability to get a loan for the house that he could have fixed it with the stroke of a pen, but he didn't. My dad's very very much a Zeus to Hercules. He just let Hera do whatever she wanted, and that was just my lot in life. He abandoned me when I was like 13 and took me in later on just to kick me back, whatever. Just not a good guy. Never been there for me. I don't have a good relationship with him. I wish it was him going through all this instead of my mother, because at least my mother made amends, about 10 years ago, and has made an effort and has tried to change herself and admitted to what she's done, instead of trying to look good to her spouse, and being like, "Oh, I didn't ever do anything wrong." My dad was a drug dealer when I was born. Yeah, he was. In fact, he was in jail when I was born. And then he changed his life, and he worked hard, and he did good things, for a while, other than always hitting me, which is something he never stopped doing until I beat his rear end when I was 16. Yeah, I whooped him pretty good. And then he stopped. And then the balance of power shifted, and then he hated my guts, I remind him of his dad, who is a real man, who was a tough guy, not a wussy like him. He's a sissy compared to me. So that's why he hates me. He can't be me. He's just a wimp who believes the media and stupid things because he's a stupid man. He's educated and smart, but he's still stupid. And those are the kind of people who are just that generation, the stupid part of that generation, who have just let this country go into the dogs. So this person has never accomplished anything, managed to be an engineer at Samsung or whatever. I've talked to people who work with him, and they're like, he's an idiot. He's just a closed-minded, yelling, screaming idiot. So I go over there to visit him, and he yells and starts yelling in front of my wife. He yells at me, and I can't get up and smack him because I'm in his house. So I have to leave his house. And I hope that I don't have to speak a eulogy about him when he passes, if he passes before me, because then that's really going to suck, because I'll just sit there and try to make up something about how he was a good guy. What am I going to say? He picked up his dry cleaning, paid his taxes. I got nothing. I don't know. Slap his face, I can tell you that. If you're listening out there, Mr. Douchebag, just know I can't stand you. I cannot stand you, okay? And I wish you were going through what my mom's going through, but instead it's her. Because that's just how life is. Kicks you right in the pants. And get this, I can't even go visit my mother because my sister's there with her, which thank God she's there. One person allowed for the duration of their stay. So if she passes, I'm just going to have to not be able to be there. Talk to her on the phone. She can barely speak. Yeah, Ethan, let someone else do it. I've spoken at lots of funerals and I've given a lot of eulogies for a lot of people. And unfortunately, my own dad, it's to the point now to where I can't even, I look at good people like Butch Turner and Jimmy Turner and Bobby Turner. The Turners, they're very good people. And they take care of their children and their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren. And they love them. I look at my Aunt Jovita and my Uncle Tino. And I look at my aunts and uncles, my Uncle Frank, and I look at how they took care of their kids. And I'm not jealous. I don't resent that at all, because I think that that's correct. That's how you're supposed to do. They are good people who did the right thing by their children. They sacrificed everything for their children and their grandchildren, and they're giving and kind, and they did what they did for their family, because that's what you're supposed to do. When you have children, you take care of them. That's what you do. I took in 3 people who were not my children, and I raised them. One of them I officially adopted, and I raised them myself. And this person can just walk away from his own flesh and blood son. Whatever, see ya. And he's treats my sister, who's actually his stepdaughter, better than he treats me, and has for a long time. But, you know, people are weird, dude. They do weird things. I mean, you know, my dad was never proud of me for anything I ever did. Because I looked like his dad, I think. I think he hated his dad. He was scared of him. He was a big bad dude, and I was a big bad dude. And he didn't understand it or fit in because he was a weenie. He's a weenie. That's the problem. My cousin asked me the other day, he was like, oh, don't you think your dad's going to cut you out of his will? I was like, who gives a crap? Cut me out. I don't give a crap. He's going to leave it all to his wife, his weirdo wife. You know, who cares? They can give it to my sister. They can do whatever the heck they want. They can, you know, I get screwed out of everything all the time anyway. What does it matter? I've carved out my own niche in this world. Everyone else can do the same thing. It says God needed you to learn something. Yeah. Stimulate. It says, Josh, for your mother, ask the doctors. Send me that information on Messenger if you're on Facebook. Stimulate. I wouldn't, you know, at this point. It says maybe it was because he could not be proud of himself. Yeah, absolutely. He could not be proud of himself. To this day, though, my stepmom actually thinks that he's never done drugs or dealt drugs. That's how stupid she is. She's a very stupid person. It says, Reverend, I hated my dad. Never said a single thing. I was always a failure to him. Cares, dude. I accomplished things my dad would never accomplish, so... a loser. I don't give a crap about that person. Here's a man who lived down the street from my grandmother, and I would go visit her, and she hadn't seen him in months. That's what a sorry individual he is. And any of the Turners out there listening, I hope you really know what kind of viper he really is. Because he falls back on, he had a horrible childhood. Oh, boo-hoo, you had a bad childhood. Oh, dude. You made mine a living hell. So I don't feel bad for you. You big-headed idiot. Your dad needed to smack the stupid out of you. He needed to do it more. It's probably what it was. Instead, you just... idiot, dumb, stupid person that you are. You know, goes around feeling bad for himself or his childhood. So you just ruin mine. I remember playing with my G.I. Joes and him taking them and throwing them across the room and breaking them because they were dolls. I was playing with dolls. It's okay. Whatever. Moron. He laughs and makes fun of the paranormal because he has no spirituality. But he goes to church. He goes to church, boy. But he has no spirituality at all. So... yeah, hurt people. Yeah, I know that. I punched the feelings out for years. Yeah, Ryan, I've had better conversations with you, Ryan, in the last year and a half that we've known each other than I've had with my dad in my whole life. If that tells you anything. McFadden, Jason McFadden. How's it going? Thanks for the picture of the Sith Lord. That's pretty cool. If anybody wants to draw those, I'm looking for somebody literally. I want a picture of me as a Jedi and as a Sith Lord, representing the change, which I'm still working on. I still let anger boil up inside of me at times, like I did earlier. Sorry for the outburst. But when people disparage, like we're all here because we believe in the paranormal and we believe in cryptids and all this man's ever done is make fun of me and make light of what I believe in and my thoughts and whatever. And he's just a rotten individual, and he's going to die a rotten individual. If I go to heaven and I see him there, then I'm going to know then I'm probably in the wrong place. There's no way in heck that could be. You're right, James. Showing up to a church meeting doesn't save you. My sister's husband's the same way. He thinks that he's going to church, and he sings in the church, so he's a good guy. They won't lift a finger to do anything for anybody unless you're a part of their cult. Yeah, it says, I hate people that join groups just to make fun of people in those groups. It is weird. I mean, it's weird. I mean, it's so weird. It's like the atheist. I used to work with a guy that was an atheist. And here's a weird story. I mean, he would constantly mess with me and with Squid and with Chico and Diablo and Scorpion and Willie and all of us. We were a very tough, hard-nosed group of guys. And this Dumbo would sit there and insult us with his little passive-aggressive jokes. You know, he's a funny guy. You know, he'd say little smarty things like, you know, if God was real, why didn't he do this and that? Yeah. And then one day Chief knocked the crap out of him, and he flew out into the street and got hit by a car. So that was fun. That was a fun night. When you're in the hospital, you know, I mean, do you believe in God then? And Chief didn't hit him for no reason. It got carried away, believe me. But it was like, you know, Squid once said that he was constantly trying to proselytize to us for atheism. It's like, okay, you don't believe in God, bro. That means you don't believe in anything. So why are you trying to push us to not believe in anything with you? It's so weird. It's like the weirdest phenomenon. I don't understand it. It's like, what are you talking about? I mean, Ethan Sill, you gotta send me like a voice clip or something and let me play it on the show so people can hear your voice. Because if you have a very good radio voice, and you think I'm kidding, man, and I'm being serious, Ethan. Folks, if you haven't heard Ethan Sill talk, he's got a very, very good voice. And you need to be doing some radio. You need to come on with me and Ryan and Mushu, and we'll all chop it up together one day. I will always be praying for you. Do you know what happened to DDoS, BDRP? I believe the BDRP was bought out. I want to say it was Dark Waters that bought out, but I'm not 100%. I don't want to talk because Dark's my friend. I don't want to say that, you know, whatever. I appreciate you praying for me, Motel James. Thank you, Simulate, for that. Appreciate it, dude. So, Flacco, are you there? Yeah, I heard you on your YouTube, but do you? How many videos do you have? I've only heard like one or two things on there. You got to get some people to go and check it out, Ethan. Send me a message on Messenger, Ethan, if we're on Facebook. Maybe I can play it. Well, what I was going to say, what I was going to ask is if you want to help you and Ryan, I know Ryan, you're in the chat. Y'all want to pick somebody to win a PRT t-shirt.
Or someone from the chat or what?
Yeah, I was gonna say if you guys want to pick somebody from the chat.
So there's gonna be 2 winners?
Did you pick somebody? Because I haven't picked anybody.
No, I said. So there's gonna be 2 or winners?
Well, no, just pick somebody from the chat to be a winner for the shirt, for a shirt.
Yeah, but if 3 of us are picking someone, then there's just gonna be 3 winners.
Well, say between the 3 of you, give me a name, each one of y'all, and I'll just pick one of the names.
What about Reverend Dickey? I like his profile picture of Texas.
Okay. So Reverend Dickey is your choice. Whisper to a Scream, who do you choose? I nominate Bell Pepper, the Portal Hug Monster. She's an awesome lady and a dear friend. Okay. Text Scorpion, ask if he's, I don't know if he's still listening or whatever. Tell him to pick somebody out of there. Can't be you, Jason McFadden. I've already sent you stuff, Jason. Although you do great artwork. Super. Reverend Dickey, I'm not qualified to answer, so I'll have to side with a Whisper to a Scream Cryptids podcast and say Bell Pepper. What does that mean?
Scorpion picks Football Cat.
Who?
Football Cat.
Who's Football Cat?
That's who Scorpion picked.
No, I'm saying who is Football Cat out there? We nominated Bell Pepper. I'll tell you a funny story about Scorpion. We were working in a government housing post. A really bad area of Austin, area called Runberg. And I had this guy who was a dissatisfied customer of some crack dealers there on site, and we were always having to fight with these crackheads and the crack dealers and all these the pimps and whatever was going on. So one of them decides to come back and start fighting with one of the crack dealers. And so I had to stop him before he got shot and told the crack dealers, go inside, get, whatever. And eventually they all got evicted. We got rid of all of them. But you had to, get rid of them piece by piece. And so the dissatisfied crack customer comes back, starts raising heck, trying to get onto the property, and then he got in my face, started talking about he was going to knock me out. He was going to knock me out. And so, of course, me being the very fainted-hearted person that I am, I was like, "Oh my gosh, please don't hurt me! Oh no! So I had Scorpion standing there to the right of me. And I was so confident that that Scorpion would protect me and do what he always did. Adventure Vic, thank you for your donation, your $3 donation. Adventure Vic, thank you. So he was right there to the right of me, and so I told him, I said, go ahead, knock me out. And I closed my eyes and put my face out there like that for him to hit me. And then I just hear this kind of a thud. I open my eyes, and the guy was laying in the street because Scorpion stopped him. Same thing happened to me at the club once with Willie. This guy was like, I'm going to knock you out, fool, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, go ahead, hit me. And when he went to swing, Willie grabbed him and put him in a Nelson. And it's funny because I didn't have to fight if I didn't want to. I did it because I enjoyed it. I enjoyed, these awful bad people getting what they had coming to them. At least you pay your karma there instead of having to go somewhere else to pay it. But Scorpion's a very loyal guy, a very nice guy, unless you get on his bad side or if you mess with me or you mess with somebody he cares about, like his family. And I consider him a brother, and I love him dearly, and he wasn't going to let that guy hit me. That's why I closed my eyes and was like, go ahead, dude. How many people can do that? How many people can close their eyes and know that your friend's got your back, and that that person swings on you, they're not gonna connect because you know that they're gonna stop them? I didn't have to tell him to do it. He just did it because that's the kind of person that he is. That's the kind of person that we are. He's a very loyal person. So it's like you won't even get to me, if I don't want you to. You're just going to have to go through my people. But if you really hate me that bad, like some people have been hating me lately, and you want to sign your waiver, we can go and do what we got to do. Simple as that. Stop making your threats and talking your trash. Just sign the paper. I have waivers already printed out. You can sign them. And then I can beat you up. Don't be shy. It only hurt for a month. Another thing I was going to ask, did everybody enjoy the Carrie Eaton interviews? Was that last episode was killer, wasn't it? She talks about the werewolf. And people in the chat room who've actually listened to the show this past Friday, do you guys think that was a werewolf that she saw? What do you guys think? Tell me what you think. So are we going with bell pepper? What was that? Andrew Finnerty said, Reverend Dickey, also check out Dr. Cruz on kids for health ideas. Yep, AM Sunshine or watching sunsets too. Yeah, that's a good thing. He's right. Josh, what's the deal with the rake and why do dogmen hunt them? I don't know that they do. They do tend to fight one another. I think that the dogman is a type of entity, and I've believed this for a long time. I talked about it with David Weatherly on my show when we did the show together. Not the one that he came on as a guest last week, but like on one of the Friday shows. It wasn't a year ago. Probably about 6-8 months ago. We were talking about a book called Legends of the Fire Spirits. It's a very good book. I suggest you check it out. And if you read this book, it talks about the jinn, and it talks about how there is a type of jinn that is a wolf-like creature, and it will eat the gula or the nazgula or the naguela or the guela, which is those are all just different names for the same creature, which is a white sort of ghoul creature that eats human flesh, and that this other creature, this wolf, whatever, eats them. It doesn't go into a whole lot of detail in that book, but you can always use that book as a reference and then go in and look up the legends and the stories. So it's pretty interesting. And then some of the Arab legends, because the Arab people are not just one people. Okay, there's the Arabians, there's the North Africans, which also bred with Berber. Now, people don't know what Berbers are. Berbers are actually an indigenous race of people from North Africa. They're not dark skinned like they're not black people. They're not Arab people. They're darker skinned, but they're also not from the Arab culture. They're an indigenous people from that region. Think of the Carthaginians. So the Berber people had control over that northern Africa, that Saharan region of Africa. Vic, is anyone down for like a PRT meetup? I don't know. It's up to everybody else. So anyway, the Berbers have their own legends, and so there are different cultures like the Persians. Persians are not Arabs, and in fact, Syrians are Arabs, but they're also Phoenicians. Them and the Lebanese are actually like a mixture. The Phoenicians are a Greek type culture. Mixed, they were like Chaldean mixed with Greek, mixed with Arab. That's literally what they are. Some of them have green eyes. Some of them are darker skinned. They look like, it's weird. It's a weird, the whole, it's a mixed bag in the Middle East. And they all have different cultures. The Turks have different stories just in their own, in Asia Minor, which is where they live, that in that region of Turkey. There are about five or six different types of people, and they all have different beliefs and stories, and it's regional. And so some of their stories, though, in those Arab regions, in the Arabian region, they believe that the wolf will be the last creature left alive on Earth, which is weird when it mirrors the Scandinavian belief that Fenrir, the wolf, eventually devours everything and turns everything to midnight, to black. And it's weird how the dragon, or the world serpent, Jormungandr, is destroyed by Thor, who is basically, he's Odin's son, but he's basically like the protector of mankind, and he sacrifices himself and goes and he kills Jormungandr in this final battle of Ragnarok. But what he does, by even though the gods all died, what he did by being killed is pretty interesting, because it kept the tidal waves from breaking the earth apart. Long story short, Surtur comes up, lights everything on fire. Fenrir eats the moon, and that's it. The world falls into darkness, but there's one tree left alive on the earth. But this wolf creature kills and eats the goela, which is weird, which is a ghoul. So you sit there and you think, man, this is weird, Yeah, I don't really believe that the Dogmen were silk traders, because what I read about the physical version of them, which I believe is just as real, they're probably just as real as the spiritual version of them. I don't see why there couldn't be two different things. I believe that when they die, though, they can transition into the spirit world a lot easier because they are basically spirits that are manifesting as physical. But I think that the Dogman, I don't think that they had the ability. They don't have a language, so they weren't able to. They don't trade silk and things like that. I don't believe that. I believe weaponry, maybe. I was getting ready to close it up, and then there's about 200 people in the chat, so. Anybody got any questions? Yeah, it says, does anyone else see a repeating number in life? I see 343 everywhere. Every I go, does it make sense? I just don't see it as a coincidence. I see, it's weird because Scorpion's birthday is 10/27. And I see 10/27 like all the time. Me and my wife both see it. It's weird. I see 11/11 a lot too. Jimmy Two Shoes, what's the next episode about? We're going to drop the Goat Man. We're going to remaster it. Digitally remaster it from Whisper to a Scream because the editing was terrible. Doris says, I'll kill for my family. Yeah, I love most of my family. Not the immediate ones. Well, some of them I do. But, like I love Anthony's mom and I love Dee. But, I mean, I love my other sister too. She's just the way she is. I don't know. (1111) is a number of enlightenment. Folks, give me the numbers you see here, because I'm a big believer in numerology, and because it has the word "ology" at the end, doesn't mean that it's some sort of mystical, weird stuff. Dick Richards, your birthday is tomorrow. Well, I'm making I'm mailing out the prize for Jimmy Shoop tomorrow. So, Dick, send me your address. We talk on Messenger all the time. You're a friend, and I'll shoot you some PRT swag. Along with bell pepper, in order to get your information or whatever, I guess you're going to have to look me up on Facebook. Just hit me up on Facebook and say, hey, I'm Bell Pepper from YouTube, and I can get your address, send you something, send you a t-shirt, give me your shirt size. We're out of a couple of different sizes right now, but I just made a big order to bring some into our own inventory to have to give away as giveaways. And I just got a big box of books from David Weatherly today too. So that's going to be interesting. I'm going to see what he's sent me. How old are you, Dick, if you don't mind me asking? If I had to say there was a specific cryptid responsible for missing 411, I would say reptilians before I'd think of anything else. Just because they're in the forest, I mean, because I believe, that's weird, Astral Hall just said, yeah, he still thought of sea serpents as cool as well, the hollow earth. The hollow earth theory, I mean, these things live in the earth. In the book of Job, when God asks the devil where he's been, he says, I've been walking to and fro upon and within the earth. It's a very interesting chapter. 369, the keys to the universe. Yeah, I believe that Tesla said that we needed to understand 369 and the significance of it too. Yeah, Bell Pepper, just send me a friend request and join our groups, folks. Join our Paranormal Round Table group and Paranormal Lounge, which is Nellie's group. Join Paranormal Encounters, which is Mushu's group. Whisper to a Scream, which is Ryan's group. I am no longer associated with any group other than those groups. So Cryptid Squade or whatever the heck, I'm not down with that dude and his group. I don't like people who threaten people and then pretend like they're innocent. So many people in this business, dude, are not good people. It's crazy. I'm not the best person in the world, but I try to be fair, at least, if nothing else. I mean, I do. And honestly, folks, I tell you right now, I love everybody. I wish I could give every single one of you a high five and very nice. But I do. I wish that I could give all of my fans. I'll tell you this, if I ever win the lottery, or if I ever make it big and become a billionaire, millionaire, whatever, you know, and I have the money to without going broke, I would give each and every one of you something nice. Just for being listeners and seekers of the truth. People who want to know what's real. And I don't want to sound like a jerk and a bully and be up here talking about other podcasters and, you know, whatever. I just got, you know, there's just so many people that are just not good. And I want to be honest with you folks. I'm going to level with you. I want to protect you, my listeners. I want to protect y'all from these people who are unscrupulous and who make stuff up and lie and you know, dog people out and whatever. I don't mean dog men, I mean dog people out and just do the bad things that they do. And they're very narrow-minded. They don't research. They get people's stories and they destroy them. They butcher them. They turn them into, you know, some sort of weird horror show, movie, or Star Trek. You know, if somebody's giving you that story, tell it the way they gave it to you, or don't use it. Okay? It's as simple as that. When I get like a half a dozen people telling me that you took their story and you skewered it into who knows what, people are my listeners, been my listeners for a long time. I mean, I'm going to take their word on that, dude. I mean, especially when there's multiple people. You know, and then there's these researchers who just lie. I mean, somebody said something about lie detectors. They were like, you know, you put a lie detector on these. Well, the thing is, lie detectors are very fallible. Okay? If there was a way to make an infallible lie detector, it'd be great. Some of these researchers, like the guy up in Wisconsin, the dog man whisperer. Oh, man. Because they're up there just selling you a bunch of bull. Yeah, right. He's got proof. Yeah, where is it? Dick Richards says, stimulate, laugh out loud. I had to start working out and taking supplements. It's made a huge difference. Yes, it does. Folks, I'm going to tell you something. I have a routine that I do in my upper body and I have one of my legs. And I do a breathing thing that Anthony showed me. Without those things, I'd be dead. Okay, because I have a ton of stress on me. It's like the weight of the world is on me sometimes. And I'm running around just trying to do everything I can to keep it together. Very busy, very, very busy person. We have 14 accounts going, and then we have tons of patrols. I mean, the work is just unbelievable. And then on top of it, I'm doing the show, and I'm getting stories, and I'm taking down notes. I'm talking to all these different people. And it's very hard, at times to keep it together. And what my release is when I get super stressed is I go to the gym and I hit the weights. Look, you don't stop lifting when you get old. You get old when you stop lifting. Simple as that. Weightlifting is this fountain of youth. And there's this myth. There's this absolute ridiculous myth that, first of all, cardio is not going to help you lose weight. I lost 130 pounds, and it was through weightlifting and dieting. I didn't do cardio. I didn't do any cardio. Cardio enlarges your heart, and it ages you. It causes free radicals to roam into your body. It makes you look old, and your skin starts to look all weird, and collagen looks like it's gone. You can take care of yourself. If you get in the gym, it's never too late. Start small, start light, do lightweight, whatever. But working out, and I don't mean getting on a treadmill or on an exercise bike, because that's not doing it. When I'm talking about, you can do that to strengthen your heart, but you can also damage your heart like that too, especially if you're overweight. Get in there, lift some weights, get yourself and get on a diet, exercise, diet correctly, take supplements. I can't stress this enough. Turmeric is a very good one. There's a lot of things you can do. I'm 45 years old. I barely have gray hair. I have a few. I pluck them out every once in a while. You're not supposed to. But it says Eve Reyes, thank you, $5 donation. Appreciate it. People tell me all the time I look like I'm in my mid-30s. I'm 45. I'll be 46 in July. I'm stronger than I've ever been in my life. I just keep getting stronger. I've upped the weight I work out with. And how is that even possible? I go in there and I'm going like, this, 3 sets of 20. And I'm going like, this is too light. I need to do more weight. I have to do more weight. And I'm telling you right now that I just keep getting stronger. And without that, with all the health problems that Nellie's had, with the problems the Scorpion's been having some problems. My brother's having some real bad health problems with his diabetes. He's got psoriasis real bad. Please pray for him. He's having all kinds of issues. I've had my good friend Thule, one of our brothers, in the hospital. He almost died. My mom in the hospital, Thule in the hospital, and my wife in the hospital, all at the same time. And then have to deal with my sister's crap because she's not letting me. She's not really. And then I got work, and it's a nightmare. Trying to get this land, try to get a house built. It just seems like that's never going to happen. I would go crazy. I would just fall over dead if I didn't go to the gym and do something with myself. The stress would just eat me alive. The cortisol is just it gets in your body and it just destroys it. I mean, and you it's just you got to work out. You got to eat healthy and you got to lift weights. By the time I was in my early 40s and I had the problem that I had and I had to go to the hospital, I was done eating garbage and I was done eating bad. And it was all about exercise. I've never had a problem with my performance or drive, testosterone-wise. I have a very healthy drive. I'm not one of those people that has low T or anything like that. I'm very much very okay in that department. I'm 45 years old. I got friends that are like, oh man, I can't do, I got to go get therapy for testosterone. I'm like, what? What happened to you? I'm not bagging on you guys, but like, what happened? I mean, I don't get it. We all used to go to the gym together, and then you guys, oh, I get it. You stopped. You quit. And you quit eating correctly, and you did things you weren't supposed to do. That's why. And like, if you look at Chief, like, he's a good friend of mine. He comes on the show every now and hadn't been on in a while. He's been real busy. He's a tattoo artist, a pretty good one. And he does Arcanum Combat, the catch wrestling. He does a lot of good stuff. And he's like 40 years old, and he's still going like he's 30. And he's in shape. And he fights, still wrestles, does what he does. Arcanum Combat, his school. So, it's all about how you take care of yourself. He won his tournament last weekend, I guess, or the weekend before last. Go to bed, you're tired. Jag says, roundhouse kicking people to the face is the fountain of youth. Well, maybe for you, dude. Mike Mars says, I've been pumping iron since I was 14. I've never stopped. What you say is 100% true. Diane Rain, at 40, I weighed the same as I did at 20. I did 100 to 200 crunches a day and steamed a great deal of veggies. Yum, yum. Dark Water says he wants to do a show with you. We've been talking about it. We just can't coordinate it because he's been busy and I've been busy. He's a busy guy. And I want to say something about that too. I'm not bagging on Vic. I just, I do feel a little bit like, the whole thing with Mr. Allen, it's like his people have crowned him as the new Messiah, and it's like, he had Vic on his show a bunch, and he's been on Vic's show a bunch, and Vic has done a ton of promoting for that guy. And I just thought it was kind of a slap in the face for me because I've, given him 12 really good episodes that have gotten 100,000 views and over 100,000 views, and I don't get anything for that. And then when I asked him to promote, I think ever since he basically told me he wasn't going to help me promote, that just like he wasn't going to promote me or whatever, I was just like, okay. So be it. It's nothing new to me. People do what they do. They just, So somebody accused me recently of like, oh, now you're hanging out with Dark Waters and you're going to do show Dark Waters to get back at Vic. No, I had been planning on that for a long time. It's just something I liked his work, and I was gonna do it. Nothing to do with Vic at all. Dark knows that me and Vic were tight and we're friends or whatever. And I wasn't trying to bag on Vic. I'm sure now, after me coming out and saying what I said, Vic may choose to not talk to me anymore. I don't give a crap. Don't. You're not gonna hurt my feelings. You've already done what you've done. You've already I told you what the deal was, and you basically chose to, whatever. He wants to reach out to me and talk to me about it. We can, and if he doesn't, then we're never going to, because I'm not going to reach out to him about it, because I don't need to. I don't have to. I don't have to reach out to anybody. Dark Waters is bad. Well, that's your opinion. Is Vic's voice authentic? I think he's got a voice he does for the radio, and then he's got a voice he does in his regular life. Like he was on our show like a couple weeks ago when I called him during that cold snap, and you could see his voice was a little bit different because he was eating, and I just called him and he answered and we talked, and he's but I mean, everybody, you try to talk, a certain way, but that's basically his voice. I mean, that, it's not him making something up or being, and he doesn't want to have anybody see him, and that's fine too. I don't care about that. It doesn't bother me at all. It kind of makes sense. I mean, there's a myth though that he rises above it and doesn't talk about people or whatever, all that. Vic's a human being, it's like everybody else. It says here, you can't force Vic to choose. I'm not. I chose for him. I chose not to deal with him anymore. So the die is cast. I really don't care. And everybody that wants to listen, go ahead, listen to Vic. Listen to whoever you want to listen to. I don't give a crap. But I'm just telling you that this other individual, his stories are not. They're not real. I can tell you that. I'm not talking about Vic. I'm talking about his buddy that he keeps bringing on there. And I don't give a crap if he hears me or not. I don't give a crap. So whatever. I asked him to do a simple thing because he's accusing me of racism, and he has no basis in that at all. He just tells everybody that I hate him because he's racist. It has nothing to do with your race, dude. It has everything to do with your integrity. I mean, my adopted son is black because my brother's son is black. So that really bothered him too whenever the people were saying that about me, because he knows that I took him in and adopted him when he was 14. And here's this people just to slander me, but that's okay because my lawyers are looking at that too. That's fine. I was accused of racism by Marvin Allen, and several people have sent me things that he's said, and I've seen the screenshots. Him saying that I'm jealous that he's a very better storyteller. I just exposed what I was told by many people that he had gotten. Well, not many, but a few, like a half a dozen or so, that he had talked to them, and then he mistold their stories. I don't agree with that. I just don't agree with it. Cryptidville. You have a good night. Anyways, when somebody says things like that, that's something that can potentially really hurt someone. You know, and I mean, like, I have a lot of African American employees, and I have one that's Haitian, you know, and I have one of my best friends, I'm still very good friends. His brother works for me part-time, and that was Willie Williams. The art contest is named after Willie Williams, and he was my roommate and lived with me for almost 5 years. He rented a room for me. Sometimes he just lived for free. We were tight, you know, and I'm close to his family. My adopted son is black, and I don't look at that and go, oh, you are a black person, you're a Mexican person, you're a Asian person. My godson's Asian. Anthony, my nephew, is very dark skinned. You know, he's Latino like me. But to just charge me with racism because I don't like your lack of integrity. I mean, and he wants to talk to me. He's like, what's there to talk about? I'm just going to tell you the same thing I'm going to tell you, you know, I don't like the way you do things. I asked you to retract that. And I asked you to stop dealing with these certain people that are attacking me, and he has not reined them in. He is not, instead he tells people he's going to deal with me. And I'm like, okay, you're going to deal with me? What does that even mean? How are you going to deal with me? Are you going to hurt me? Because those charges came first. That's why when I said about, you know, my fist being operational, I was just striking back. And I don't appreciate being called that, you know, those things, because that's not what I am. I think that's a very horrible thing to say about me. Half of my employees are African American, and like I said, one of them's Haitian. One of my brothers is Jamaican. One of my brothers from the old days is Jamaican. My friend Willie is the one that passed. He was black. My friend Jerome, he's from Germany, but his dad was black, and he lives in California, works at Tesla. He's a very good friend of mine. You know, I think that all these people, my friend Noga, my friend Stuff, I think these people would have something to say about you making those charges. Because I got a lot of friends back in the old days. I could plaster Facebook with pictures of me and my buddies from the old days, and a lot of them are black. So it's kind of hard for you to sit there and make charges like that, sir. I think the truth is you just don't like the fact that, you know, I called you out on something. Yeah, what is he going to do? Beat me up? No. Not going to beat me up. Maybe in his dreams. I don't know. But, you know, I just don't appreciate that, you know, and then being told by Vic, you know, basically like, not gonna help me promote my show. Don't. I will not promote your show. I'm eating dinner, folks, so I'm still going over here. James, I've been called Mahappy my whole life, bro. El cabacho, el bolillo, el güero. I've dealt with racism my whole life. People think that there's only one kind of racism, and there's not. Most of my racism came from the Latino community. It's crazy when you have a white dad and you don't even get along with him. but you have to carry it on your placa. And then you have to be punished for it. And most of my friends were black because of sports. I played basketball. Blacks are good athletes. Very, very physically capable people. Good boxers. They're good football players. And that's not all they're good at. They're good at seeing. Black people are good at a lot of things. But I grew up hanging out with a lot of them because I felt accepted. Because they respected my physical prowess, and we just became close. So for somebody to charge me with that, it's like ridiculous. That's something I'm not going to back off from. That's going to be, there's going to be a reckoning for that. He keeps saying it too. Keeps using that because he's got nothing else. Jag says, your dad is a racist? Nah, he's not. He's just a jerk. My dad's a very, very non-racist individual. That's one thing I can say about him. He's not. He's just a jerk. Anyways, folks, we'll wrap this up. Be sure and tune in Friday when we drop the Goat Man. What I was eating wasn't candy. It was this. Funny because the woman that sells these, she's black and German, and she was a collegiate and Olympic sprinter. And she was, I believe she was a gold medalist. Her name is Yvonne, and she runs TFN Nutrition. Her sister's name is Yvette, and she's married to a guy named Flint Eagle, and they are actors. Her sister and her sister's husband, Flint Eagle. I might get him on the show. He's a Mohawk Indian, Native American, and he's on Star Trek Generations. And they're cool people. But Yvonne is into holistic medicine, and she sells me these really good, healthy protein bars and stuff without a bunch of bad crap in them. Brian, good night to you. Gone over longer than I thought I was going to go tonight. My eyes burning like crazy, dude. The heck? The freaking air was so bad today when I went out and just was breathing it in. It was just like, good gosh, dude, what's going on? All right, folks, I'm going to wrap it up. Karen Jensen, love you, Josh and Ellie. Love you too. It says Josh, Ashley. Hey, Ashley. By the way, my wife love the picture of the octopus, but you put on there for her eyes only. So does that mean that she's not allowed to show anybody your beautiful work? She says, whenever you left your body, did you go to the bridge? I've seen bridges, more than one bridge. But I've seen them in the City of Night. Like I said before, that episode is in the 30s, I believe, with Laura Ketchledge. Yeah, I said that she's black, German, whatever, because we were talking about my friendship, with black people, and she's not an African American. She's from Germany, but she's biracial. I'm biracial, Hispanic. I'm Hispanic and white. But I was just talking about that she sells me these different things. She has a store called TFN. She sells CBD oil there. It's like the best quality that I've found. Her and my friend Phil Bacalar, who's got pretty good quality stuff. He's half Japanese. He's a good guy. He's biracial like I am. You get a different perspective when you're born in two different cultures. Yeah, Kinder Bueno. They have some good chocolates, man. I'm telling you, you go to World Market, you can get them. There's a Japanese store here in Austin too that's got like a lot of cool stuff you can get from Japan, and Yvonne sells pretty good stuff you can get from Germany. Yeah, I wasn't trying to get on a whole dissertation on race and religion and all that. I just don't like when people make charges like that, because you can ruin somebody's reputation like that, saying crap like that, I mean, that's just wrong. You're just lashing out because you're mad. I mean, come on, dude. You want to squash this? Come out and tell the truth. You've never seen or heard me do anything racist, so stop making charges like that. All I'm trying to do is make good quality content, and I get attacked by people. And he's got his buddy from Beyond Crap over there, pushing him, helping him too. Pretending like he's in the KGB and that we're in some big Cold War or whatever. Said the most outlandish, weird things to Ryan, his former co-host, and just how he's gonna get me and all this crap, whatever, dude. You and your buddies can do what you want. Until you start producing quality instead of garbage, you're not gonna do anything. But you're not capable of producing quality. So Mushu and me just talked today, and he was talking about wanting to come back and do some work with us, but he's just been so busy with work, and we've been working too all the time. It's very hard. Poor Anthony's gonna have to go to work tonight when we're done with the show. When we leave the studio, he's there taking a nap, and he's gonna have to go to work. And I'm going to have to go run 3 errands and 3 different posts to pick up paperwork, drop off paperwork, and drop off keys. It's just doing a full-time business and doing this too. And constantly getting asked to help out with my other friends' businesses because they're needing help, you know, because nobody wants to work. All right, folks. Well, hate to say goodnight, but I guess I'm going to have to. I will continue. I will continue to make quality content, do the best I can to bring you the good stuff. Try to keep the integrity. And other people just want to try to make a buck. I'm not gonna lie, man. Sometimes I get discouraged and I think, you know what? I ought to just give it up. These people aren't gonna stop being the way they are, and I'm gonna be constantly fighting with these fake people that don't want to back off and just do them. I'll see you guys later. I'll see you next week on this live stream, and I will also see you Friday. We're gonna release that Goatman episode, so you guys can hear it in a better quality. And for those of you who haven't heard it, from Whisper to a Scream, just to give you an idea, that's kind of stuff that we're gonna be doing. Not gonna release another show on Ryan's deal until we get the audio issues taken care of, because it's going to be kind of silly to release it and then have to go back and put it back on my channel anyway. So, but we're gonna get it together. We're gonna get it straight, because I really want to help Ryan. He's good at what he does, and I want him to succeed.